بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. We continue with the tafsir of Surah Al-Alaq where we left off yesterday. So I'm going to click on the second tafsir in the right column, tafsir al-Quran al-Azim, which is the tafsir of Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah. And we began by reading this long hadith which we mentioned, which is technically the second hadith that Imam al-Bukhari mentions in his Sahih under the chapter title of Badu'ul Wahi, the beginning of revelation. Let's just quickly run through it again. Go ahead, Najib, Iqra. Read from the last part where it says An Aishata on the first line. So where the narration actually begins. An Aishata all the way towards the end.
Of the first paragraph, second?
Yeah. On the top.
Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Qala al-mu'allifu rahimahullah. عن عائشة قالت أول ما بدأ به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الوحي الرؤيا الصادقة في النوم، فكان لا يرى رؤيا إلا جاءت مثل فلق الصبح ثم حبب إليه الخلاء فكان يأتي حراء فيتحدث فيه وهو التعبد الليالي ذوات العدد ويتزود لذلك ثم.
What did we say ويتزود means?
Remain.
Hamza, do you remember? وَيَتَزَوَّدُ لِذَلِكَ, that he would go to the cave of Hira and he would worship a number of nights. وَيَتَزَوَّدُ لِذَلِكَ. Thank you. He would take provisions for that.
ويتزود لذلك ثم يرجع إلى خديجة فتزود
يعني وفي رواية أخرى فتزوده بالضمير فتزوده كما هو مذكور في الحاشية. فتزوده, and then he would return to Khadija and she would give him provisions لمثلها حتى فجاءه الحق وهو في غار حراء. نعم. ما معنى فجاءه الحق؟
Suddenly.
Yeah. So he continued to do this حتى فجاءه الحق, يعني جاء الحق إليه فجأة, that the truth came to him suddenly. Continue.
فجاءه الملك فيه فقال اقرأ. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقلت ما أنا بقارئ.
ما أنا بقارئ. قال فأخذني فغطني حتى بلغ مني الجهد ثم أرسلني فقال اقرأ. فقلت ما أنا بقارئ. فغطني الثانية حتى بلغ مني الجهد ثم أرسلني فقال اقرأ. فقلت ما أنا بقارئ. فغطني الثالثة حتى بلغ مني الجهد ثم أرسلني فقال اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق حتى بلغ ما لم يعلم. حمزة اقرأ. قال فرجع بها ترجف بوادره.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله قال فرجع بها ترجف بوادره.
فرجع بها, so he returned with it. ترجف بوادره. ما معنى ترجف بوادره?
Like trembling.
His heart was trembling. ترجف فؤاده أو يرجف فؤاده. Continue.
حتى دخل على خديجة فقال زملوني فزملوه حتى ذهب عنه الروع.
ما معنى الروع?
Fear.
Yeah, so they covered him until his fear went away. Continue.
فقال يا خديجة ما لي فأخبرها الخبر وقال قد خشيت علي.
قد خشيت علي بمعنى
I fear for myself.
نعم.
فقالت له كلا أبشر فوالله لا يخزيك الله أبدا إنك لتصل الرحمة
وتصدق الحديث
وتحمل الكلة
ما معنى وتحمل الكلة؟
He takes a burden.
Yeah, he carries the burdens of others, meaning he takes care of the weak and the orphans and those that are in need. Go ahead.
وتكري الضيف وتعين على نوائب الحق.
وتعين على نوائب الحق. وقلنا بمعنى تعين على نوائب الحق كما قال ابن حجر رحمه الله, يعني كلمة جامعة لما سبق. It's a comprehensive term for that which has preceded, meaning it includes everything that preceded. يعني وتعين على نوائب الحق, as I mentioned yesterday, you're involved in all good and you're far away from all evil. Continue.
ثم انطلقت به خديجة حتى أتت به ورقة بن نوفل بن أسد بن عبد الله عزي بن قصي وهو ابن عم خديجة أخي أبيها, وكان امرأ تنصر في الجاهلية.
وكان امرأ تنصر في الجاهلية. تنصر بمعنى
converted to
Christianity. Continue.
وكان يكتب الكتاب العربية وكتب بالعربية من الإنجيل ما شاء الله أن يكتب, وكان شيخا كبيرا قد عمي. فقالت خديجة أي ابن عمي اسمع من ابن أخيك. فقال ورقة بن أخي ما ترى. فأخبره رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما رأى. فقال ورقة هذا الناموس الذي أنزل على موسى ليتني فيها جذعا أكون حيا حين يخرجك قومك.
حين يخرجك قومك فاعل. فقال
رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أو مخرجيهم. فقال ورقة نعم لم يأتي رجل قط بما جئت به إلا أوديه, وإن يدركني يومك أنصرك نصرا
مؤزرا.
نعم.
قال وإن يدركني يومك أنصرك نصرا مؤزرا. What does that mean, Hamza?
If I reach that age, I would support you like a very
وإن يدركني يومك, if your day reaches me. If your day reaches me, meaning your day of when your prophethood becomes apparent, أنصرك نصرا مؤزرا, that I will assist you and support you, supporting that is full of strength. Kashan, read. ثم لم ينشب ورقة.
I'm not sure where we are.
Right there. It says ثم in parentheses on the first line.
Oh.
Now it's the second line.
Alright, ثم لم ينشب ورقة أن توفي وفتر الوحي فترة حتى
حتى حزن
رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما بلغنا حزنا غدا منه مرارا كي يتردى من رؤوس
شواهق الجبال
فكلما أوفى بذروة جبل لكي يلقي نفسه منه تبدى له جبريل فقال يا محمد إنك رسول الله حقا فيسكن بذلك جأشه.
No, فيسكن بذلك جأشه. We said that like his agitation or his worry would become calm by this. Go ahead.
وتقر نفسه يرجع فإذا طالت عليه فترة الوحي غدا لمثل ذلك فإذا أوفى بذروة الجبل
تبدى
له جبريل فقال له مثل ذلك.
نعم. Read Mona. فأول شيء نزل من القرآن.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: فأول شيء نزل من القرآن هذه الآيات الكلمات المباركات وهن أول رحمة رحم الله بها العباد.
نعم. قفي. Okay, so everything before this we took yesterday, so he says now فأول شيء نزل من القرآن, so the first thing to be revealed from the Quran, هذه الآيات الكريمات المباركات, these blessed noble verses, وهن أول رحمة, and this is like the first mercy, رحم الله بها العباد, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he basically showed his mercy to his slaves by, and this is the first mercy that he sent down upon them, meaning from the mercy of the Quran. Continue. And the first blessing that he bestowed upon them. وفيها, and in it is التنبيه, like bringing attention to على ابتداء خلق الإنسان, to beginning the creation of the human being من علقة, from an علقة. Go ahead. وأن من كرمه, and from his generosity, the Most High, is that he taught the human being or mankind ما لم يعلم, that which he was unaware of. فشرفه وكرمه بالعلم, he made the human being noble, and he honored. There we go. He made noble the human being and honored the human being through knowledge. فشرفه وكرمه بالعلم, he made the human being, or he showed nobility and honored the human being through knowledge. Continue.
وهو القدر الذي امتاز به أبو البرية آدم على الملائكة.
وهو القدر الذي امتاز به أبو البرية آدم على الملائكة. What is that? What does that mean? وهو القدر الذي امتاز به أبو البرية آدم عليه السلام على الملائكة. Anyone?
What's imtaza?
Imtaza, to distinguish, or to excel, or to surpass. وهو القدر, يعني in this sense, and that is the thing, the one which, right, or that is the level, al-qadr, يعني referring to the knowledge, and that is the qadr, the thing, the one which امتاز به أبو البرية آدم, that Adam alayhi salam, he distinguished himself by over the angels. Abu al-Bariyah, the father of Bariyah, like the father of humanity here. Go ahead. Or the father of creation. But go ahead. Go ahead. وَالْعِلْمُ نعم قفي. يقول المؤلف رحمه الله وَالْعِلْمُ تارة يكون في الأذهان, that sometimes knowledge is in al-adhan, in the mind. وَتارة يكون في اللسان, and sometimes it's upon the tongue. وَتارة يكون في الكتابة, and sometimes it's in writing, بالبنان, with the fingertips. Go ahead. ذهني نعم ذهني ولفظي ورسمي, يعني knowledge is basically in the mind, ولفظي upon the tongue, that which is spoken, ورسمي, and that which is written. Go ahead.
والرسمي يستلزمهما من غير عكس.
والرسمي يستلزمهما من غير عكس. What he's trying to say is والرسمي, so he mentions that knowledge is basically of three types here, right? And then he says والرسمي, that which is written, right? يستلزمهما, it requires, like it is necessary for the other two. For the other two to exist, basically, at some point, they have to be written down. فهمتي? Right? وَالرَّسْمِيُّ يَسْتَلْزِمُهُمَا, that for the written knowledge, or sorry, basically writing it down is something that is required for the other two types of knowledge. مِنْ غَيْرِ عَكْسٍ, but you can't say that about the, you can't say the opposite also applies. That writing it down you have to have it upon the tongue, or you have to have it in the mind, right? He says three types of knowledge: that which is in the mind, that which is on the tongue, that which is written down. The first two, they require the last one, but the last one doesn't require the first two. فهمتم? Continue. فلهذا قال, and for that reason he said, اقرأ, recite, وربك الأكرم, and your Lord is the most noble and generous. الذي علم بالقلم, the one that taught with the pen, or by means of the pen. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم, he taught the human being that which he does not know. Continue. نعم. وفي الأثر, يعني وفي الأثر جاء عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه أنه قال قيد العلم بالكتابة. ما معنى قيد العلم بالكتابة?
Store.
Yeah, like store, basically catch knowledge by writing it down. وفي الأثر قيد العلم بالكتابة, like store knowledge, or like even to restrict something, meaning to hold on to it, right? So hold on to knowledge بالكتابة, by writing it down. Continue. نعم. وفيه أيضا, يعني وفيه عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه أيضا أنه قال من عمل بما علم, that whomsoever acts upon that which they know, رزقه الله علم ما لم يكن يعلم, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bestow upon them, He will literally give them sustenance of knowledge that they were unaware of. فهمتم? من عمل بما علم رزقه الله علم ما لم يكن يعلم. فهمتم؟ مريم اقرأي. from right where he finishes the verses. So يخبر تعالى.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: يخبر تعالى عن الإنسان أنه ذو فرح وأشر وبطر وطغيان إذا رأى نفسه قد استغنى وكثر ماله.
نعم يخبر. Okay, so now he's talking about كلا. كلا بمعنى حقا. كلا بمعنى حقا, like without a doubt, bringing certainty and affirming. So كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى. Indeed, the human being commits طغيان, commits transgression, right? أرآه استغنى, like when he sees himself as self-sufficient. So يقول الإمام ابن كثير رحمه الله يخبر تعالى عن الإنسان, that Allah the Most High, He informs about the human being, أنه ذو فرح وأشر وبطر وطغيان, that indeed the human being is a person of ذو فرح, like a lot of, what's farah? Yeah, a lot of happiness. أشر, like they're very, in a sense, you could say like lively. وبطر, arrogant. طغيان, they transgress, right? When do these things happen? And all of these qualities are being mentioned in a negative aspect. Even ذو فرح وأشر, right? In a negative sense, when they become extremely happy, a happiness that is a type of happiness that is disliked. He says إذا رأى نفسه قد استغنى وكثر ماله, that this happens whenever he sees himself as self-sufficient, وكثر ماله, and his wealth increases. Continue. ثم تهدده
ووعده فقال إن إلى ربك الرجعى.
Now, so after Allah says كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى, he says إن إلى ربك الرجعى. First of all, Maryam, ما معنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى?
Surely to Allah, to your Lord is the return.
No. So he says ثم تهدده وتوعده. ما معنى تهدده وتوعده? Wait. Maryam, ما معنى تهدده وتوعده?
توعد has something to do with promise. And تهدد could be hidayah. ووعظه could be wa'ad, like admonish.
Forget wa'ad. Okay, ووعظه he admonishes him, right? ثم تهدده وتوعده. ما معنى تهدد وتوعظ? Huh?
Threaten with punishment.
Yeah. Don't you guys remember we took تهدد وتوعد? Look at the narration at the end of Surah Al-Alaq. Right? The last page before we didn't take Surah Inna Anzalna Fi Laylatul Qadr, but the narration of when Abu Jahl, he said basically lam anhaka an hada, didn't I tell you not to pray, basically, right? And then it says وتوعده, right? Read Hamza, what does it say?
The whole thing just...
Yeah, from فتوعده.
فتوعده رسول الله.
What page is it?
73.
73. Go, read it.
فتوعده رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا محمد.
فتوعده رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ, what did we say? Threaten. We said it comes from a promise because it's a threatening promise, right? And then Abu Jahl said, بأي شيء تهددني. Like with which thing are you? Intimidating, threatening me, right? Intimidating, threatening me, right? So over here, Ibn Kathir, he says, ثم تهدده وتوعده, يعني ثم تهدده الله وتوعده الله ووعظه الله. So then Allah, He threatens, threatens and admonishes that person. فقال, so He says, إن إلى ربك الرجعى. Continue. So إلى الله المصير والمرجع. To Allah is the مصير والمرجع. To Allah is the return. Go ahead.
What say يحاسبك على مالك من
على
أين
مالك على مالك خطأ. وسيحاسبك على مالك, and he will take you to account for your wealth. Continue.
من أين جمعته وفيما صرفته.
نعم. So إلى الله المصير والمرجع, to Allah is the return. وسيحاسبك على مالك, and he will take you to account for your wealth. من أين جمعته, from where did you gather this wealth? وفيما صرفته, and
Where did you spend it?
and where did you spend it? نعم.
So what is that word that taxi drivers say when you're supposed to pay back? The taxi charge? Is it sabah?
Huh?
In Saudi Arabia, when the taxi driver asks for money, what does he say? Sabah?
They might ask for sarf.
Sarf. Oh, sarf.
Sarf is change. Shayan, read قال ابن أبي حاتم. Next paragraph.
قال ابن أبي حاتم
If you can go all the way down that line and just go all the way till the end where it says قال عبد الله.
قال عبد الله من همان لا يشبعان.
من هومان لا يشبعان. Go ahead.
صاحب العلم وصاحب الدنيا ولا يستويان. فأما صاحب العلم فيزداد رضا الرحمن وأما صاحب الدنيا فيتمادى في الطغيان. قال ثم قرأ عبد الله إن الإنسان يطغى أن رآه استغنى. وقال للآخر إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء.
نعم. قال عبد الله من هومان لا يشبعان. Anyone ever heard this before? من هومان لا يشبعان. من هومان لا يشبعان means there are two greedy people, meaning two types of greedy people, لا يشبعان, that never become satiated. صاحب العلم, a person seeking knowledge, وصاحب الدنيا, and the person seeking the dunya. ولا يستويان, and they're not equal, they're not the same. فأما صاحب العلم فيزداد رضا الرحمن. As for the companion of knowledge, meaning the one seeking knowledge, فيزداد رضا الرحمن, he increases in the pleasure of the most merciful. وأما صاحب الدنيا, as for the one seeking the world, فيتمادى في الطغيان, like he continues to go further and further and continue in his transgression. قال, then he said, ثم قرأ عبد الله, then Abdullah recited, إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى, that indeed the human being transgresses when he sees himself as self-sufficient. This is in reference to صاحب الدنيا. وقال للآخر, and he said to the other, meaning about صاحب العلم, إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء, that indeed the people that truly fear Allah are the ulama. فهمتم?
What does the rida mean?
Rida, pleasure, satisfaction. So they increase in the pleasure or the satisfaction of Allah, meaning in their earning the pleasure and the satisfaction of Allah. Go ahead, Maz, read وَقَدْ رُوِيَ هَذَا.
وقد روي هذا مرفوعا إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من هومان لا يشبعان طالب علم وطالب دنيا.
نعم. وقد روي هذا مرفوعا, ذكر هذا لأن الأثر الذي قبله قال عن عبد الله, يعني أعتقد أنه هو عبد الله بن عمر, لكن في رواية ثانية قال وقد روي هذا مرفوعا, it has been narrated, meaning attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a hadith. من هومان لا يشبعان, there are two types of greedy people that will never be satiated, طالب علم وطالب دنيا. Continue. ثم قال تعالى
ثم قال تعالى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى نزلت في أبي جهل لعنه الله توعد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم على الصلاة عند البيت فوعظه الله تعالى بالتي هي أحسن أولا فقال رأيت إن كان على الهدى أي فما ظنك إن كان هذا الذي تنهاه على الطريق المستقيمة في فعله أو أمر بالتقوى بقوله وأنت تزجره وتوعده على صلاته ولهذا قال ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى أي أما علم هذا الناهي لهذا المهتدي أن الله يراه ويسمع كلامه وسيجازيه على فعله أتم الجزاء.
نعم. ثم قال تعالى, then the Most High, He says, أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى. Have you seen the one that prevents or prohibits a slave إذا صلى, when he prays? نزلت في أبي جهل. It was sent down in regards to Abu Jahl. لعنه الله, may Allah's curse be upon him. توعد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم على الصلاة عند البيت. That he threatened the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم in regards to prayer, meaning in regards to praying عند البيت, at or around the Kaaba. فوعظه الله تعالى بالتي هي أحسن أولا فقال. So so the Most High, Allah admonished him by that which is better. فقال, so he said, أرأيت إن كان على الهدى. Have you seen that if he is upon guidance? Meaning, فما ظنك, what are your thoughts? What do you think? إن كان هذا الذي تنهاه على الطريق المستقيم في فعله على الطريق المستقيمة في فعله. What are your thoughts? Meaning, what are your thoughts if this one that you are preventing or prohibiting, meaning preventing or prohibiting from prayer, is upon a straight path in his actions? أو أمر بالتقوى, or he commands with taqwa, بقوله وأنت تزجره وتتوعده على صلاته. Or like, what are your thoughts if the person that you're preventing and prohibiting is someone that is actually commanding good, commanding taqwa, وأنت تزجره, while you تزجره, zajr is to rebuke or to reprimand somebody. While you rebuke and reprimand him, وتتوعده على صلاته, and you threaten him in his prayer. ولهذا قال ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى. And for that reason he said, does he not know that indeed Allah is watching him? أي أما علم هذا الناهي. Does this person, الناهي is the one that is prohibiting. So does this prohibiting person not know, الناهي لهذا المهتدي, this prohibiting person, the one that is prohibiting this person that is rightly guided, does he not know أن الله يراه ويسمع كلامه, that indeed Allah is watching him and hearing his statements? وسيجازيه. ما معنى سيجازيه? ما معنى سيجازيه?
He'll be like recompense.
Yeah, he will recompense him. على فعله, he will recompense him upon his actions. أتم الجزاء, the most complete of recompenses. وسيجازيه على فعله أتم الجزاء, that he would recompense him upon his actions. أتم الجزاء. رمشة اقرأي. ثم قال تعالى متوعدا ومتهددا. Right after the line that says الجزاء, at the top.
Okay. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. ثم قال تعالى متواعدا متهددا كلا لئن لم ينتهي أي لئن لم يرجع عما هو فيه من الشقاق والعناد لنسفعا بالناصية أي لنسمنها سوادا يوم القيامة. ثم قال ناصية كاذبة خاطئة، يعني ناصية أبي جهل كاذبة في مقالها وخاطئة في فعالها فليدع ناديه أي قومه وعشيرته أي ليدعوهم يستنصر بهم سندع الزبانية وهم ملائكة العذاب حتى يعلم من يظلم.
No, stop there. ثم قال تعالى متوعدا ومتهددا. Then the Most High, He said متوعدا ومتهددا. What does متوعدا ومتهددا mean?
Threatening, yeah.
Huh?
Threatening, intimidating.
Threatening. This is اسم الفاعل, right? From توعد and تهدد, right? So he said in a threatening fashion, or threatening him, كلا لئن لم ينتهي. Rather, if he does not ينتهي, if he does not desist, if he does not stop, أي meaning لئن لم يرجع عما هو فيه من الشقاق والعناد. That if he doesn't return, meaning go back from that which he is upon, من الشقاق, from like shiqaq over here is like causing dissension and fighting, like with words, والعناد, and stubbornness, لنسفعا بالناصية. لنسفعا بالناصية, like we will snatch him, right? We will seize him بالناصية, with his forelock, with his forehead. أي لنسمنها سوادا يوم القيامة. Similar, basically we will snatch him on the day of judgment. ثم قال ناصية كاذبة خاطئة. That this is a lying خاطئة, wronging forehead, right? This is a lying, or you could go wronging, lying forelock or forehead. يعني ناصية أبي جهل كاذبة في مقالها. That the ناصية of Abu Jahl, right? The ناصية of Abu Jahl is كاذبة في مقالها, is lying in his statements. Like his statements are full of lies. خاطئة في فعالها, and wrong in his actions. فهمتم? The nasiya over here is referring to the whole person. The Arabs sometimes, to refer to a whole person, they would refer to them as the nasiya, right? Because they saw it as basically the most noble part of the human being. Huh?
Arabs thought that this was the noble part?
Yeah, it was considered.
Scientifically, it's the part where all the sins actually happen. The desires are here, frontal lobe. So it's interesting. It's
Right.
paradox.
And so the Arabs consider it the most like noble part, right? And sometimes it was used to refer to, so even though we translate nasiya as forelock or forehead, it's referring to the person, right? To the person as a whole, right? So Allah says, nasiyata Abi Jahlin kadhibatan. That the nasiya of Abu Jahl is lying, like meaning he's someone that lies in his statements. Khati'atan fi fi'aliha, and he's someone that commits wrong in his actions. فَلْيَدْعُ نَادِيَ, so let him call upon his nadia. We said nadia, as we took in the book, is friends and family, right? أي قومه وعشيرته, his people and his clan. أي ليدعهم يستنصر بهم, let him call them يستنصر بهم, so that he can seek support through them. سندع الزبانية, we will call الزبانية. وهم ملائكة العذاب, and they are the angels of punishment. حتى يعلم من يغلب, so then he can know من يغلب, who will defeat, like, or who will overcome, or who will overpower. أحزبنا أو حزبه, our party or his party. Ramsha, you were reading?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, read. قال البخاري, and then you can skip all the names, go all the way to the end where it says عن ابن عباس, عن عكرمة عن ابن عباس, on that same line but all the way at the end.
Oh, okay.
لئن,
رأيت محمدا
نعم. He said لئن رأيت محمدا يصلي عند الكعبة, if I see Muhammad praying at the Kaaba, لأطأن على عنقه. ما معنى لأطأن على عنقه? I'll step on his neck. Yes.
فبلغ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال لئن فعله لأخذته الملائكة.
I don't know why no one asked me that before. I don't know why I didn't think that before.
ثم قال تابعه.
لا اتركي هذا. فبلغ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So that reached the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال, so he said لئن فعله, that if he had done so, لأخذته الملائكة, then the angels would have seized him.
ثم قال
لا اتركي هذا. No. Read this narration, which is similar to the narration that we read. So all the way at the top, but عن ابن عباس. So first line, all the way at the end.
عن ابن عباس قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي عند المقام فمر به أبو جهل ابن هشام قال يا محمد ألم أنهك عن هذا وتوعده فأغلب له رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
وانتهره. Okay, stop. So this is, once again, he's bringing all the different narrations, because sometimes in the different narrations you have slightly different wordings and you have a few added details, right? So in this particular narration, which is similar to the one that we took in the book, he comes up to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, "Alam anhaka an hada? Didn't I prohibit you from this?" وَتَوَعَّدَهُ, and he threatened him, right? So then it says, فَأَغْلَظَ لَهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَانْتَهَرَهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ responded, but how did he respond? فَأَغْلَظَ. Like at this point, فَأَغْلَظَ لَهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Anyone know what أغلظ over here means?
got upset.
A little more than got upset. Like the Prophet ﷺ responded in a very rough, harsh manner. He responded to him the same way he was spoken to. فَأَغْلَظَ لَهُ الْكَلَامِ. Like he spoke to him in a very harsh and rough manner. As Allah says in Surah Al-Tahrim, for example, about the angels of the hellfire. غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ. Right? Speaking about them, he says they are غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ لَا يَعْصُونَ اللَّهَ مَا أَمَرَهُمْ. So he says فَأَغْلَظَ لَهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ وَانْتَهَرَهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ was basically rough with him. وَانْتَهَرَهُ, and the Prophet ﷺ انتهره, he scolded him. فقال يا محمد. Go ahead.
قال يا محمد بأي شيء تهددني.
So he said, "Oh Muhammad, like what are you threatening me with?"
أما والله إني لأكثر هذا الوادي ناديا فأنت الله
فليدع ناديه
قال ابن عباس لو دعا ناديه لأخذته ملائكة العذاب من ساعته. وقال الترمذي حسن صحيح.
نعم. So he said, بأي شيء تهددني, with what thing are you threatening me? He said, أما والله إني لأكثر هذا الوادي ناديا, that I am basically in this wadi, in this valley, meaning in Mecca, I have the biggest nadi, right? Meaning I have the biggest supporters and followers and clan. فأنزل الله فليدع ناديه, then let him call his nadia, right? سندع الزبانية, we will call the zabaniya, the angels of punishment, right? Another thing that you learn as you're reading this, you learn, like I know growing up you all read, or those of you that have this surah memorized, فليدع ناديه سندع الزبانية, right? But now you know, if you were to ever continue, what goes at the end of these letters, right? سندع الزبانية, right? Because الزبانية is the مفعول به. قال Ibn Abbas said, لو دعا ناديه, that if he had called his nadia, لأخذته ملائكة العذاب من ساعته, that the angels would have seized him من ساعته, بمعنى like at that moment. Okay. Okay, so he brings this narration that I'm scrolling down. Okay, so this is a similar narration, but it adds something here that is mentioned in the tafsir of Tabari, that Imam Kathir he took from the tafsir of Tabari. Okay, so this is a similar narration. We're not going to read, but I just want you to read. So you see, it says فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, right? فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Zoya, read at the top. So it's talking about the same incident. Abu Jahl, right, did what he did. Go ahead.
فأنزل الله عز وجل اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق حتى بلغ هذه الآية لنسفعا بالناصية ناصية كاذبة خاطئة فليدع النادية سندع الزبانية. Okay, really quickly, what it seems like is that the first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Alaq were revealed as the beginning of revelation. As for the second part of Surah Al-Alaq, it was revealed later on, and it was revealed regarding this incident with Abu Jahl, right? And this would happen many times, that Prophet ﷺ would receive ayat, right? And then, or a portion of a surah, and then he would receive the other portion of the surah later. And then he would be told that add this to this particular surah. So this what seems was most likely, that the first 5 verses up until عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ was revealed at the beginning of Revelation, and then the rest of it, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يَنْهَى عَبْدًا إِذَا صَلَّى, all of this was revealed regarding this incident with Abu Jahl, right? So he says, فَجَاءَ النَّبِيُّ, go ahead. فَجَاءَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم فَصَلَّى. Okay, stop. So now, in this narration, it adds a little something. It says that he threatened the Prophet ﷺ that, if you do this again, this and that. So now the Prophet ﷺ, he comes and he prays. He prays after he's been told not to pray. فَجَاءَ النَّبِيُّ فَصَلَّى. Go ahead. فَقِيلَ مَا يَمْنَعُكَ. فَقِيلَ مَا يَمْنَعُكَ. فَقِيل, so it was said, meaning it was said to Abu Jahl. It was said to Abu Jahl, مَا يَمْنَعُكَ. What is preventing you? Meaning, what is stopping you from doing what you said you were going to do? You said, if he comes and prays again, I'm going to step on his neck. So فَقِيلَ مَا يَمْنَعُكَ. It was said to him, what is it that's preventing you? Go ahead. قال قد اسود ما بيني وبينه من الكتائب. Again, قد اسود. قد اسود ما بيني وبينه من الكتائب. نعم. قال ابن عباس والله لو تحرك لأخذته الملائكة والناس ينظرون إليه. So Abu Jahl, he said قد اسود ما بيني وبينه من الكتائب. قد اسود. Anyone know what اسود means? To become black. What he means over here, قَدْ اسْوَدَّ, like the land between me and Prophet ﷺ, like I wanted to go and step on his neck, but the area between him, it became dark. قَدْ اسْوَدَّ doesn't always mean to become black. It can mean to become dark, right? قَدْ اسْوَدَّ, so it became dark, مَا بَيْنِي, that which was between me and that which was between him, مِنَ الْكَتَائِبِ. Kata'ibi means like squadrons, or like a huge amount of men, right? قال ابن عباس والله لو تحرك. Ibn Abbas, he said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, لو تحرك, that if Abu Jahl had moved in that direction to do what he wanted to do, لأخذته الملائكة, that the angels would have seen him. Meaning that Abu Jahl saw something out of this world. When he wanted to do what he wanted to do, he saw something that no one else saw, right? Which caused him to not do what he wanted to do. So Ibn Abbas says, لو تحرك, that if he had moved, لأخذته الملائكة, that the angels would have snatched him, والناس ينظرون إليه, while the people would be looking at him. Like the people would have seen everything that would have happened.
It's amazing how they had other worldly experiences, but they still didn't believe it.
It was also tribal, there was tribal stuff.
But then again, Sheikh, don't people really wonder, like, what did I just saw? I mean, how is this possible? Maybe he's right. Maybe there is, truth to that.
Well, some of them did eventually accept Islam. Some of them. Okay. Okay, a similar narration. Okay, similar narration. We're just going to read part of it. See the second line? The second line, right in the middle. It says فَقِيلَ لَهُ. Right? فَقِيلَ لَهُ. Zoya, read.
فقيل له ما لك.
فَقِيلَ لَهُ مَا لَكَ. Same thing. Same thing. Yani Abu Jahl, he didn't approach Prophet ﷺ. So he's told, someone says to him, مَا لَكَ. Like, what is it with you? Like, why are you not fulfilling your promise? Right? Go ahead.
فقال إن بيني وبينه خندقا من نار.
So he says over here in this narration, إِنَّ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَهُ خَنْدَقًا مِّن نَارٍ. That I saw basically between me and him like a pit of fire.
وهولا وأجنحة.
وَهَوْلًا وَأَجْنِحَةً. Like basically something scary with wings.
قال فقال رسول الله لو دنا مني لاختطفته الملائكة عضوا عضوا.
Naam. The Prophet ﷺ said, لو دنا مني. لو دنا. Dana yadnu, to come close. That if he had come close to me, لاختطفته الملائكة. The angels would have snatched him عضوا عضوا. What's عضوا عضوا?
Limb by
Limb by limb. Limb by limb. Okay. And then he goes to the end of the surah.
By snatch, does it mean like to die or?
Yeah, like, but like the way in which he would die would be very gruesome. وَقَوْلُهُ Iman, read. So this is now talking about the surah سَنَدْعُ الزَّبَانِيَةِ, right? What's the next verse? كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. That rather do not obey him, do not follow him, rather prostrate and draw near, meaning draw near to Allah. So he talks about this. Go ahead.
Can you bring this paragraph to the bottom of the screen?
لا تطعه فيما ينهاك عنه
من المداومة على العبادة وكثرتها والصبر حيث
شئت.
ولا تبالغ.
نعم. وقوله كلا لا تطعه. Rather لا تطعه, do not obey him. يعني يا محمد, O Muhammad, لا تطعه. لا تطعه, do not obey him. فيما ينهاك عنه, in that which he is prohibiting you from or preventing you from. من المداومة. What's مداومة? Anyone? Of consistently doing something. So do not listen to him or do not obey him from that which he is preventing you of doing, of basically persevering and doing continuously your ibadah وَكَثْرَتِهَا, and doing it excessively. Basically don't obey him, continue to worship. وَصَلِّ حَيْثُ شِئْتَ, and pray حَيْثُ شِئْتَ, wherever you will. وَلَا تُبَالِهِ. ما معنى وَلَا تُبَالِهِ? Huh?
Don't mind them.
Yeah, don't mind him. Don't mind him, don't care about him. Don't give him your attention. Go ahead. Iman. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ حَافِظُكَ. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ حَافِظُكَ وَنَاصِرُكَ. For indeed Allah is going to protect you and assist you. وَهُوَ يَعْصِمُكَ مِنَ النَّاسِ, and he is the one that protects you from the people. كما ثبت في الصحيح. Skip the line, just names. So عن أبي هريرة, exactly under it. نعم. So واسجد واقترب, prostrate and come close. عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه وهو ساجد. That the closest a slave can be to his Lord is while he is in a state of prostration. فأكثر الدعاء, يعني فأكثر الدعاء وأنتم ساجدين. Like increase in your supplication in the state of prostration. And then he mentions performing sujood at the end of it. One interpretation that's given about wasjud waqtarib, yani it's not the majority interpretation, it's a minority interpretation. But wasjud waqtarib, two different commands. I believe Imam al-Qurtubi mentions it. He says wasjud, يعني wasjud ya Muhammadu, wasjud ya Muhammadu lillah, waqtarib ya Aba Jahlin ila an-nar. That basically, oh Muhammad, prostrate to Allah, right? And Abu Jahl, keep coming close to the fire of hell. وهذا ما ذكره إمام ابن كثير في تفسيره عن سورة العلق. نعم.
How does, I don't know if you already discussed this, but how does the ayah إن الإنسان لا يبقى relate to أن رآه استغنى? Like, how does the feeling of self-sufficiency lead to one transgressing? Like, what's...
Because when they don't feel like they're in need of anyone or anything, right? And there's no bounds or no limits, you're not responsible, right? If you feel like you don't need anything or anyone, right? And you feel like all you need is yourself, and you provide for yourself and this and that, and why would you obey or listen to anyone or anything? Why would you listen to any divine commandment if you feel like you're the one that's doing everything for yourself? Okay. You guys need a break or keep going? Breaks are cool? Okay, 5 minutes. 8:42, we'll continue at 8:42.
And then, how then would you say that the first 5 ayahs relate to the last set of ayahs? Would you say that Abu Jahl is someone that, because of his feeling of self-sufficiency, led to him transgressing, but despite him...
Yeah, it's... So, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى, all of it is... Right? From there to the end is all that incident.
Oh,
From كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى, right? All of that.
and then could you make the connection that his feeling of...
I'm trying to translate this book right now. His
feeling of self-sufficiency wasn't even a true feeling because he was still calling on...
Self-sufficiency is never a true feeling.
No, but like he didn't really believe it himself. He didn't really believe that he was also self-sufficient because he called upon his tribes and families.
Well, the self-sufficiency that's intended here is more self-sufficiency of wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. Not like self-sufficiency of health. But even there's a level of right. If you feel like you have enough supporters and enough people that will aid you and support you, right? It's a level of self-sufficiency. Like, I have enough followers, enough people, like I'm held in such high regard and high esteem that I have enough backing to do whatever I want.
Cool. Huh? I only went to the first one, and then I didn't come up Tuesday after that. I only heard the first half, and then heard you have 2 meals. First month for those. I'll make more. I do it. He does it once you quit yourself. Just let my little pet. How we doing? I am. I'm chilling. About to hear. Chilling like a dog. That's what's up, dude. Actually, not like a dog. No problem, dude. Chilling like. I'm good. Wasn't there like a lockdown or something? Yeah. Were you in school or were you? Yeah, I was in class. But didn't they keep you in there? Yeah, there were lots of gloves. That was half. It felt longer than that. I'm not sure you do.
Training Muay Thai.
They were today or yesterday.
We were trying to get a fit,
There was another one.
And it was like the person they were like being afraid of someone else. So they were someone else.
I don't think school started for them
Some kid
yet.
was like sitting in the library, and like cop walked him like
Yeah.
unplugged it.
You know, and for a while, even in September, they haven't started. I don't know if he has yet.
No, like some like
I know, but
one of the-
started.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure started.
What?
Like, yeah,
Because
there's
like
no way
the
this is
thread
there's
that
no way
was
you wasted a
the
month.
thread that was made was through email.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the
Maybe
thing
almost
right
a
now
month
is
though.
that someone hacked
Yani a few
his
weeks, 2
phone,
weeks?
his phone account,
Yeah.
معقول.
through his computer. and
But we have a
thread.
rule over there. We
Like,
say
they have-
المعقول
they get
ومعدوم.
account.
معقول ومعدوم.
المعقول معدوم.
معقول معدوم.
That which makes sense is basically
Yeah, that was like yesterday.
Like,
the day before it was
doesn't exist.
Mm-mm.
apparently had like fully yeared out. And very fully.
Oh.
Yeah. What are some
I
examples?
mean, they weren't
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
I
I mean, we're talking about school
What's your
scheduling, right?
major? Aerospace.
So what is it that doesn't exist? That makes sense.
Where are we going?
For it to be delayed for a month. What's up, Hamza? How you doing, bro? Alhamdulillah.
Song Ahmed?
Iman, because you badgered me so much yesterday.
And I'm eating chips.
No, I didn't. No, see, I don't judge. I don't judge.
Just
No.
literally what I thought when I was packing this, I'm like, I'm shaming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
No, I don't judge back, even if people judge me. But I didn't get it today.
I didn't judge, I was
I'm just saying,
simply-
after all the badgering, I didn't get it. Right? Najib is my witness that I didn't come. He's like, where is it? I was like, I didn't get it.
The frat?
Yeah. She badgered me for 15 minutes yesterday.
I was not badgering.
Calories, this, that.
I haven't seen the granola bar in so long.
Huh?
I said you haven't seen that in so long.
Gotta resort to something. Now I broke my streak.
That's probably a good thing.
You should call in just to make sure like that they know you're okay.
They're so worried now.
I'm trying to process it.
You should just be walking to start with like a Philip and everything.
Huh?
You walking with like
Drive
a little
through.
bit.
But yeah, so- It's too early in the morning for people to see what other people are wearing. Pajamas, half awake.
And like, I feel like it's part of like the rigor and the
Almost.
experience of learning. Like,
How is
not everything is
the
going to be
post
very linear.
college
And
work
you
life?
kind of have to learn how to be flexible with
Oh,
that
that's
as well.
good.
Okay.
I
Like, I
think
get it, it's annoying.
one thing I miss about college is not even college, but time. Like the
You
flexibility.
had time in college?
Oh yeah, dude. Like you don't go to your classes, Hamza. Like you have all the time. I don't know if it's your experiences, but maybe like during junior year is when you realize like, oh, I don't really have to do these things. You could go to like the first week and then sustain off just learning things online and you'll start passing.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Dude.
I think it's really bad advice, but I'm not telling you.
No, I mean, there's like a key they give you in junior year. Where you just, oh, it makes sense now. I figured it out.
It's not like it.
I think Mars gave me my first advice is just yeah. It was good advice.
What did I say? I don't know. Yeah, the flexibility of time is like, definitely there.
I guess that makes sense. Or else I wouldn't be able to do IOK.
Yeah, because like at work, like you're expected to be there from 9 to 6. At school, it's like, you know, we would like you to be in class.
Exactly.
And if you're not in class, you'll ask, but that's not true. And then taking classes with Muslims or like friends, and then relying on them heavily.
Because I feel like
This is all.
You do bad on tests if you're not in class. If you're not there to learn.
Depends on the major, honestly. Some people I've heard like
especially like CS, when they learn on their own, in the classes, they don't really teach. This is like very specific to my field, I guess. I don't know what engineering like I expected
I'll see. I'll talk about it.
I don't know if they're like tutorials of people like YouTubers that like made names for themselves because they are able to teach engineering on their channels.
They all have Indian accents.
Oh.
That's a stereotype.
Honestly, thinking back, like a lot of the computers, not a lot, but some of like the classes I took that were really difficult, I relied on those Indian guys. It's like, dang, this is like my brother holding it down.
My brother.
Dude, seriously, they're coming clutch.
It was more so that we were exposed to all of that.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Okay. So we went through now the tafsir of Surah Al-Alaq from Tafsir al-Quran al-Azim, which is the tafsir of Imam Ibn Kathir. Now we look at, so as we mentioned before, usually Imam Ibn Kathir, it's concise, right? It's considered a major tafsir because he's concise. He gets you to the point, gets you the main meanings and whatnot. But there's always benefit in looking at what some of the great authors, the other mufassirin, they said. So we will look at Al-Jami'.
Check what it says, the date, that's the author's, like this one right here, Hijri 5, it was on the top.
The year they passed away.
The year he passed away.
No.
Okay, so 671?
671. So Al-Jami' li Ahkam al-Quran. Okay. So he talks about Iqra' bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. This is going to be, this beginning part is going to be that narration, that long narration that we mentioned, the beginning of Revelation. It's that story, right?
So this is quoted here, right?
This is, yes, Al-Jami' li Ahkam al-Quran. This last paragraph. Actually, skip. Just this last paragraph, right? He talks about the meaning, right? He says, read Mona wa ma'na at the top.
باسم ربك أي اقرأ ما أنزل إليك من القرآن مفتتحا باسم ربك وهو أن تذكر التسمية في ابتداء كل سورة.
So he talks about the meaning of اقرأ باسم ربك. So he says ومعنى اقرأ باسم ربك, recite in the name of your Lord, is A, meaning اقرأ ما أنزل إليك, recite that which has been revealed to you من القرآن, from the Quran, مفتتحا. Muftatihan means beginning with or opening with Bismi Rabbik, the name of your Lord. وهو, and that is أن تذكر التسمية, that you mention the tasmiyah. The tasmiyah is the basmala, right? في ابتداء كل سورة, at the beginning of every surah, right? Where is this? Okay. خلق الإنسان من علق. One thing you notice, or you might have noticed from the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, is that he mentioned the long narration that talks about the beginning of Revelation, right, from Iqra to all the way to Ma lam ya'lam, but he doesn't actually talk about those verses, right? He just went to what came after it. All he did was he mentioned, hey, this is how Revelation started, these 5 verses came down, and then, right? He glossed over them and then went to basically the other verses, right? So you find some of the Mufassirin, they actually talk about these verses, right? So خلق الإنسان من علق. Go ahead, Muna.
قوله تعالى خلق الإنسان يعني ابن آدم من علق أي من دم جمع علقة.
So he says من علق أي من دم, from blood. جمع علقة. The word علق is the plural of the word علقة. Go ahead.
والعلقة الدم الجامد.
And علقة is الدم الجامد. Right? We've talked about this term, right? Go ahead.
وإذا جرى فهو المسفوح.
Good. So the opposite of الدم الجامد is الدم المسفوح. What's الدم المسفوح? Huh? Flowing blood, right? So he says والعلقة الدم الجامد. علقة is, what's the word? Coagulated blood, right? So he says وإذا جرى, but if it flows فهو المسفوح, then it is considered, it is called مسفوح, right? And this word appears in the Quran as well. Go ahead, continue.
وقال من علق فذكره بلفظ الجمع لأنه أراد بالإنسان الجمع وكله خلق من علق بعد النطفة.
نعم. So he says وقال, and Allah said من علق فذكره, so he mentioned it بلفظ الجمع. He mentioned it with the plural word because he already told you the singular is علقة, right? لأنه أراد بالإنسان الجمع, because what he intended by the human being is الجمع, like all of them. He created all of them from علق. وكلهم خلقوا من علق بعد النطفة, and all of them were created from علق بعد النطفة. What's نطفة?
Drop.
Huh? Yeah, literally after a drop of sperm. والعلقة, go ahead.
والعلقة قطعة من دم رطب.
Good, رطب. والعلقة, what is علق? He says قطعة, it's a piece من دم رطب. What's دم رطب? يا منى? What's رطب? What's رطب?
Like dry?
No. What's
رطب?
رطب? Moist, fresh. Moist, fresh. Right?
Oh, is that what they call the date?
رطب.
Rutab, yeah.
Okay, continue.
سميت بذلك لأنها تعلق
لرطوبتها
بما تمر عليه فإذا جفت لم تكن علقة.
نعم. He says سميت بذلك, it was called that لأنها, because it تعلق لرطوبها, like it sticks together because of its freshness and because of its moistness. بما تمر عليه, and it, whatever it passes by, it sticks to it because of its moistness, its freshness. فإذا جفت, but if it becomes dry, لم تكن علقة, it's no longer considered علقة.
So Jaffa is opposite of Rataba?
Yeah, Jaffa is to mean dry, to become dry.
So what was the connection with all of humanity? Like
Like he mentioned the word that خلق الإنسان من علق, that instead of saying علقة, right? Because he's referring to, like, he created humanity. So he used the plural word,
which is علق,
which is علق, as opposed to علقة, which is singular.
So it's a broken plural.
No. Okay. Now, technically Allah created everything from علق. Yes? Like not just a human being, but animals were created from علق. Yes?
Oh, the animals.
Yes.
Living beings.
Yes, yes. Other living beings, right? So read Mona. وَخَصَّ الْإِنسَانَ وَخَصَّ الْإِنسَانَ بِالذِّكْرِ. But Allah specifically mentioned the human being تَشْرِيفًا لَهُ, as a type of honor for the human being. وَقِيلَ
وقيل بشرا سويا وعاقلا مميزا.
نعم. وأراد أن يبين قدر نعمته عليه, and he wanted to clarify the level or the degree of his blessing upon him, meaning upon the human being. بأن خلقه من علقة مهينة, that he created him from an علقة, something that was clinging, مهينة, something that was despicable. حتى صار بشرا سويا, until he became a balanced human being, وعاقلا مميزا, and someone that had intellect. مميزا, the ability to like distinguish or distinguished, discerning. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous or the most noble. Hamza, read the second line. وقال الكلبي.
بسم الله. وقال الكلبي يعني الحليم عن جهل العباد.
نعم. قال اقرأ وربك الأكرم. قال الكلبي بمعنى الأكرم يعني الحليم عن جهل العباد. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forbearing, is patient, overlooking the ignorance of his slaves. Go ahead.
فلم يعجل بعقوبتهم.
فلم يعجل بعقوبتهم. ما معنى فلم يعجل بعقوبتهم؟ He doesn't hasten to their punishment. Right? وقيل, and it has been said, the last line.
وقيل اقرأ وربك أي اقرأ.
أي اقرأ.
أي اقرأ يا محمد وربك يعينك ويفهمك.
Another interpretation, اقرأ وربك الأكرم, that recite and your Lord is the most generous, meaning اقرأ, recite, وربك, and your Lord, meaning recite, O Muhammad, وَرَبُّكَ يُعِينُكَ وَيُفْهِمُكَ. Recite and your Lord will assist you and He will grant you understanding. Meaning the generosity that is being mentioned here, اقرأ وَرَبُّكَ الْأَكْرَمِ, is that when you recite, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you, will assist you and will give you understanding. فهمتم?
What are you reciting in this?
Quran. Go ahead. وَإِن كُنْتَ غَيْرَ الْقَارِئِ.
وإن كنت غير القارئ.
وَإِن كُنْتَ غَيْرَ الْقَارِئِ. Like He'll help you and He'll help you understand. وَإِن كُنْتَ غَيْرَ الْقَارِئِ. Even if you're someone that can't read, like just recite and Allah will help you. He will give you understanding even if you're someone that doesn't understand. Continue.
والأكرم بمعنى المتجاوز عن جهل العباد.
والأكرم, and the meaning of أكرم بمعنى المتجاوز عن جهل العباد. The one that basically forgives and overlooks the ignorance of his slaves.
Sorry, Sheikh, could you repeat the part about reciting and that leading to more understanding?
So he says, اقرأ وربك الأكرم, that the part of Allah being Al-Akram, the most generous, is that the Prophet ﷺ is being told, recite, and your Lord is the most generous, meaning that if you recite, then your Lord will assist you and He will grant you with understanding. Or He will grant you understanding. الذي علم بالقلم. Okay. الذي علم بالقلم. He mentions a lot here. So let's go. يا أحمد اقرأ.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف حفظه الله الذي علم بالقلم فيه ثلاث مسائل.
يعني فيه ثلاث مسائل, يعني 3 matters I want to discuss.
الأولى قوله تعالى الذي علم بالقلم يعني الخط والكتابة.
نعم. So the one that taught by the pen, by means of the pen, يعني he taught الخط والكتابة. He taught writing الخط والكتابة. Go ahead.
أي علم الإنسان الخط بالقلم.
Okay, go ahead.
وروى سعيد عن قتادة قال القلم نعمة من الله تعالى عظيمة لولا ذلك لم يقم دينا ولم يصلح عيش.
نعم. قال قتادة, he said, القلم نعمة من الله تعالى عظيمة. Al-qalam, the pen, meaning Allah teaching the human being, mankind, to write, is نعمة من الله تعالى عظيمة, is a great blessing of Allah. لولا ذلك, if it was not for that, لم يقم دين, like no religion would have ever been established. ولم يصلح عيش, and like ولم يصلح عيش, like living would, like people wouldn't be able to live properly, even religion aside. ولم يصلح عيش, like people wouldn't be able to live properly if they couldn't write. Like it's such a vital aspect, right, to living on this earth. Go ahead.
فدل على كمال كرمه سبحانه بأنه علم عباده ما لم يعلموا ونقلهم من ظلمة الجهل إلى نور العلم.
فدل على كمال كرمه سبحانه. So this indicates, meaning this verse الذي علم بالقلم, it indicates the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's karam, His generosity, His nobility upon the slaves. بأنه علم عباده ما لم يعلم, because He taught to His slaves ما لم يعلموا, that which they didn't know. وَنَقَلَهُمْ مِنْ ظُلْمَةِ الْجَهْلِ إِلَى نُورِ الْعِلْمِ, and He took them from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge.
ونبه على فضل علم الكتابة.
ونبه, and by saying الذي علم بالقلم, Allah is also indicating or pointing out the virtue of علم الكتابة, like the knowledge of writing. Go ahead.
لما فيه من المنافع العظيمة.
Because of the great, immense benefits that lie within it.
التي لا يحيط بها إلا هو.
The ones that basically no one can fully comprehend and understand them except Him. Like we understand there's blessings and benefits to writing, but no one can truly comprehend and understand all the blessings of writing except Allah, the one that علم بالقلم, the one that taught His creation to write. Go ahead.
وما دونت العلوم ولا قيدت الحكام ولا ضبطت أخبار الأولين ومقالاتهم ولا كتب الله.
It should be المنزلة. This is خطأ.
المنزلة إلا بالكتابة ولولا هي ما استقامت أمور الدين والدنيا.
Now he says, okay, so he keeps talking about this blessing of Allah teaching mankind to write. So he says, if it wasn't for the pen, وَمَا دُوِّنَتِ الْعُلُومِ, that the sciences, they would have never been basically codified and written down. وَلَا قُيِّدَتِ الْحِكَمُ, and wisdoms, they would have been never recorded. وَلَا ضُبِطَتْ أَخْبَارُ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَمَقَالَاتُهُمْ, and the news of al-awwaleen, the news of the previous generations, وَلَا ضُبِطَتْ, it would have never been recorded, never been remembered. وَمَقَالَاتُهُمْ, and their statements. وَلَا كُتُبُ اللَّهِ الْمُنَزَّلَةِ إِلَّا بِالْكِتَابَةِ, and neither even the revealed books of Allah, right? They wouldn't have been preserved and recorded إِلَّا بِالْكِتَابَةِ, except through writing. وَلَوْلَا هِيَ, and if it wasn't for it, meaning al-kitaba, مَسْتَقَامَتْ أُمُورُ الدِّينِ وَالدُّنْيَا, that even the matters of the religion and the matters of the dunya, مَسْتَقَامَتْ, they would have been like, nothing would have been ever rectified, or nothing would have been ever carried out properly if it wasn't for this blessing of writing. Okay, stop there.
وما دونت العلوم,
like the sciences wouldn't have been codified and like collected and recorded.
And the next one, ولا
قيدت الحكم, would like the wisdoms wouldn't have been, the wisdoms wouldn't have been, same thing, recorded and written down, preserved. ولا ضبطت أخبار الأولين ومقالاتهم, and the news of the first generations and their statements, or the previous generations and their statements, wouldn't have been taken into account wouldn't have been noted. Okay. Scrolling down, he says عن عبد الله بن عمر مريم اقرأي.
بسم الله. وعن عبد الله بن عمر قال يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكتب ما أسمع منك من الحديث.
So Ibn Umar, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, أكتب, can I write ما أسمع منك من الحديث, that which I hear of you, that which I hear from you from the hadith. Go ahead.
قال نعم فاكتب فإن الله علم بالقلم.
نعم, right, for indeed Allah taught by means of the pen.
وروى مجاهد عن أبي عمر قال خلق الله عز وجل أربعة أشياء بيده.
That Allah created 4 things with His hand.
ثم قال لسائر الحيوان كن فكان.
ثم قال لسائر الحيوان, then He said to the rest of the creation, كن, be, فكان, and it was.
القلم والعرش وجنة عدن وآدم عليه السلام.
The 4 things that He created with His hand: Al-Qalam, the pen, wal-Arsh, the throne, وجنة عدن, the garden of Adn, وآدم عليه السلام, and Adam. Go ahead.
وفي من علمه بالقلم ثلاثة أقاويل.
وفي من علمه بالقلم ثلاثة أقاويل. Allah says الذي علم بالقلم, the one He taught, or He is the one that taught by the pen. Who did He teach? Who did He teach? Right? This means of writing to. So He says وفي من, in regards to the one whom علمه بالقلم, that Allah taught by the pen, ثلاثة أقاويل. Like, who is this in reference to? فهمتم? Go ahead.
أحدها أنه آدم عليه السلام لأنه أول
من كتب. Okay, so the first opinion is that it's reference to Adam alayhi salam, and he says لأنه أول من كتب, because he was the first one to write. Right? Skip over.
So Adam could write.
يعني according to this, but then he says قاله كعب الأحبار. يعني this is coming from كعب الأحبار. كعب الأحبار, as I mentioned, he was a Muslim from the Tabi'in. He was, before he accepted Islam, he was a Jewish priest. So لعله من الإسرائيليات. الثاني أنه إدريس. It's referring to Idris عليه السلام, right? نعم. نعم. So who is in this reference to? Imam Qurtubi first mentions Adam, then he mentions Idris, then he mentions الثالث
أنه أدخل كل من كتب بالقلم لأنه ما علم إلا بتعليم الله سبحانه وجمع بذلك نعمته عليه في خلقه وبين نعمته عليه في تعليمه استكمالا للنعمة عليه.
نعم. So الثالث, and this is perhaps the most common interpretation, أنه أدخل كل من كتب بالقلم, that it includes everyone that ever wrote by means of a pen, right? لأنه ما علم إلا بتعليم الله, because every single person that ever wrote, Muslim or disbeliever, whether they wrote something noble or the opposite of noble, right? They wrote because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they wrote after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught them to write. So الذي علم بالقلم is a general reference to all of the creation. وجمع بذلك, and he gathers by that نعمته عليه في خلقه, his blessing upon the entire creation. وبين نعمته عليه في تعليمه, and he clarifies his blessing upon him, meaning the human being, في تعليمه, in teaching him, meaning in teaching each individual to write.
Is that narration authentic?
What?
Like the narration of Mujahid, not sort of that whole thing, but Allah created other things.
Oh, وروى مجاهد عن أبي عمر.
Like, is it like agreed, or is it just something that's?
It's something that's commonly mentioned. I don't think there's, but he doesn't reference. Actually, because this is not going to be referenced. But I want to say it does appear in other hadith, and I want to say there is a hadith where it's attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. But in here he doesn't. Huh? يعني it's funny we're reading this الذي علم بالقلم and like you'll huh?
You're reading the writing of someone?
No, I'm reading the writing of someone, a 4-year-old, right? So I'm watching my daughter, she's learning to write, right? And sometimes like it's, I'll say, but like it's frustrating. You're like, look, let's just do it like this, right? But then you see progress over like months, right? But then you read something like this, right? And he says, you know, as Qurtubi says, that it includes everyone, right? Because at the end of the day, right, you can teach a child as much as you want how to write, right? And Allah is using you as a means, whether, this is regardless of religion, right? Allah is using you as a means, but at the end of the day, Allah is the one that is teaching the child, right? Allah says, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُم, that Allah basically took you out of the wombs of your mother, لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا, you didn't know anything. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ, and He gave you the ability to hear and to see, right? And part of that blessing is He gave you the ability to learn different things. And one of those greatest blessings, as Imam Qurtubi mentioned, right? He says basically nothing could happen, right? Except with writing. That's why, like when kids start going to school, one of the first things they're taught, right, is what? Is to write. And we don't think about it. We don't think about it that much, but so much of our life, even regardless of religion for a second, right? Moving religion out of the picture or the discussion, so much of our life depends on things that are written, right? Basically our whole life revolves around things that are written. I mean, we're on our phones all day at this point, right? We're reading things that have been written, yes, but not by the pen, but by fingers, right? That's why either here or was it here or in the other tafsir, he said al-kitaba bil-banan, right? He was it? I think it was in this one. It was Ibn Kathir. Yes, Ibn Kathir. He said knowledge is of 3 types. He said the mind, the tongue, and the pen. But then he said bil-banan, with fingertips. Subhanallah, like you think about that during our time when they read bil-qalam, right? When they read alladhi allama bil-qalam, they were thinking, okay, that which is written by the pen, right? But Ibn Kathir says bil-banan, by the fingertips. So now we live in a time where most of that which we read that is written through the fingertips and not through pens, right? So you think about, like as he says, that nothing would have been preserved or recorded, no knowledge, secular or religious or anything, except, you know, through the means of writing, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the end of the day, He's the one that taught every single person, right? Okay. Now, 3 opinions of who's the one that's being referred to.
Okay.
Who's it referring to, right? The most comprehensive is the last, and that seems to be the most correct, right? Okay. 9:17. Get really on. This is long, but I won't do this. Okay, then he summarizes it. Okay, let's go ahead, let's try it. Okay. Okay, remember he said at the beginning there's 3 things I want to talk about? Right? So he just covered the first. This was all the first. Right? الذي علم بالقلم. What is meant by علم بالقلم? And who? That's just the first. He just covered the first. Okay. الثانية. You see where it says الثانية, right? الثانية basically refers to his discussion over what qalam is this talking about? What qalam is this talking about, right? Because as we know, there are things that Allah wrote down and recorded, right? Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz. There are things the angels write, right? And there's also the writing of human beings, right? Okay, so Maryam, you were reading? Go ahead.
الثانية صح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من حديث أبي هريرة قال لما خلق الله الخلق كتب في كتابه فهو عنده فوق العرش إن رحمتي تغلب غضبي وثبت عنه عليه السلام أنه قال أول ما خلق الله القلم فقال له القلم فقال له اكتب فكتب ما يكون إلى يوم القيامة فهو عنده في الذكر فوق عرشه.
So it has been authentically narrated that when Allah created the creation, كتب في كتابه, he wrote in his book that is with him, فوق العرش, إن رحمتي تغلب غضبي, that indeed my mercy will prevail over my anger, right? And it has been authentically narrated that the first thing that Allah created was al-qalam, and then he told the pen, uktub, فكتب ما يكون إلى يوم القيامة. So when Allah told the pen to write, the pen wrote everything that will happen, basically ever, until the day of judgment. فهو عنده في الذكر فوق عرشه, and everything that has been written is there with him on the arsh, right? فوق عرشه, above his throne. Okay, so that's one type of writing, Allah ordering the pen to write. Go ahead.
وفي الصحيح من حديث ابن مسعود أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا مر بالنطفة 42 ليلة.
Now he mentions the other type of writing. He says, and it has been authentically narrated from the hadith of Ibn Hurairah, that he heard the Prophet ﷺ say, إذا مر بالنطفة 42 ليلة, that when 42 nights pass over a nutfa, this is referring to when a woman becomes pregnant, a nutfa, right? The drop of sperm. So when 42 nights pass over it, go ahead.
بعث الله إليها ملكا فصورها.
بعث الله إليها ملكا فصورها, that Allah sends to it an angel فصورها, and he fashions it, right? وخلق سمعها وبصرها وجلدها ولحمها وعظمها, and then he fashions its hearing and its seeing and its skin and its meat and its bones, right? ثم يقول, then he says, يا ربي أذكر أو أنثى, male or female. Continue.
فيقضي ربك ما شاء ويكتب الملك ثم يقول يا ربي أجله.
نعم. فيقضي ربك, so your Lord decrees ما شاء, that which he wills, ويكتب الملك, so the angel writes, ثم يقول يا ربي أجله, oh my Lord, his
sustenance?
لا أجله, his lifespan. His lifespan. فيقول ربك ما شاء, so your Lord says whatever he wills. ويكتب الملك, so the angel writes. ثم يقول يا ربي رزقه, then he says, oh my Lord, what about his sustenance? ليقضي ربك ما شاء, then your Lord decrees whatever he wills. ويكتب الملك, then the angel writes. ثم يخرج الملك بالصحيفة في يده, then the angel comes out with basically a scroll in his hand. فلا يزيد على ما أمر ولا ينقص, and then the angel does not write anything more than that which he has been commanded. ولا ينقص, and neither does he write anything less than that which he has been commanded. وقال تعالى إن عليكم لحافظين, and Allah says, indeed to the human beings, indeed are upon you are حافظين, people that are protecting and safeguarding and writing down. كراما كاتبين, referring to the angels that are recording our deeds, right? قال علماؤنا, do you see it? قال علماؤنا, مريم اقرأي.
قال علماؤنا فالأقلام في الأصل ثلاثة.
Okay, so he says, this is the discussion. فالأقلام في الأصل ثلاثة. So there's three different types of pen, right? We're not talking ballpoint pencil, right? Three different realms of the pen. Go ahead.
القلم الأول الذي خلقه الله بيده وأمره أن يكتب.
The first is the one that Allah created with his own hand, and then he commanded it to write. Okay? Go ahead.
والقلم الثاني أقلام الملائكة جعلها الله بأيديهم يكتبون بها مقادير والكوائن والأعمال.
Now, the second type of pen is the pen of the angels. جعلها الله بأيديهم. Who placed this pen in their hand? Allah placed this pen in their hand. What do they write by it? Al-Maqadir. Basically the person's lifespan and the person's rizq and this and that, right? Wal-Kawa'ina wal-A'mal, and their actions, everything that they're going to do, everything that's going to happen to the person and everything that the person's going to do, right? And then the third type of pen?
والقلم الثالث أقلام الناس جعلها الله بأيديهم يكتبون بها كلامهم ويصلون بها
مآربهم.
وفي الكتابة فضائل جمة.
نعم. Okay, so he says والقلم الثالث is أقلام الناس, the pens of people. جعلها الله بأيديهم, who placed these pens in their hand, meaning who gave them the ability to write? Allah. So even all three types of pens, right? Allah created the first, right? The second, He gave the angels the ability to write, and the third, He gave the ability to human beings to write, right? So He says, يَكْتُبُونَ بِهَا كَلَامَهُم. What do the human beings do with these pens? يَكْتُبُونَ بِهَا كَلَامَهُم. They write their own speech. وَيَصِلُونَ بِهَا مَآرِبَهُم. And through them they reach their desires, their goals, their interests. Ma'arib over here, their goals. Like they use them to achieve a certain objective. وَفِي الْكِتَابَةِ فَضَائِلُ جَمَّةٌ. And in writing there are many, many virtues. جَمَّةٌ, like numerous. Go ahead.
والكتابة من جملة البيان.
Okay. والجملة من والكتابة من جملة البيان. You know Allah says in Surah Al-Rahman, Ar-Rahman علم القرآن. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. What's bayan? Allah gave, basically, Allah taught humanity the ability to speak clear, concise speech. Bayan, to clarify themselves, to explain. He says, وَالْكِتَابَةُ مِنْ جُمْلَةِ الْبَيَانِ. He says, writing is from bayan. Is it not? Right? When Allah says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسان, right? عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ. He taught the human being to speak. Part of that speaking is through writing. He says, وَالْكِتَابَةُ مِنْ جُمْلَةِ الْبَيَانِ. He says, kitaba is part of bayan, it's part of expressing yourself. وَالْبَيَانُ مِمَّا اخْتُصَّ بِهِ الْآدَمِيُّ. And the ability of bayan is something that specifically was given to human beings. Right?
وأقل العرب معرفة به المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم صرف عن علمه ليكون ذلك أثبت لمعجزته وأقوى في حجته.
Okay, he says, قال علماؤنا, our scholars, they said, كانت العرب أقل الخلق معرفة بالكتاب. Like the Arabs were the ones that had the least knowledge of writing, right? وَأَقَلُّ الْعَرَبِ مَعْرِفَةً بِهِ الْمُصْطَفَى صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Arabs were the ones that had the least knowledge of writing, and amongst the Arabs, the one who had the least knowledge of writing was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. صُرِفَ عَنْ عِلْمِهِ. He was turned away from the knowledge of it. Why? لِيَكُونَ ذَلِكَ أَثْبَتَ لِمُعْجِزَتِهِ. So that could basically be a stronger proof of his miracle. So if the Arabs, they can't write, and the one that, like, from amongst the Arabs that can write the least is the Prophet ﷺ, right? He says, لِيَكُونَ ذَلِكَ أَثْبَتَ لِمُعْجِزَتِهِ. Because it makes the proof of the Prophet ﷺ stronger. وَأَقْوَى فِي حُجَّتِهِ. Once again, it fortifies his evidence, it fortifies his proof. Clear? Okay.
Civilized human being, the first thing we think is going to be highly educated, right? And the Prophet was the complete opposite. He was the most amazing person, and he had no information about writing and reading.
Like he says, لِيَكُونَ أَثْبَتَ فِي مُعْجِزَتِهِ وَأَقْوَى فِي حُجَّتِهِ. Okay, so thus far he's covered the first 4 verses, right? This is the 5th verse. عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. Right? Quickly, Mona, go ahead. قِيلَ. Okay, who is this insan referring to? قِيلَ, it has been said, it's referring to Adam alayhi salam. Go ahead. Allah taught him the names of everything, as we learn in Surah Al-Baqarah. Just in accordance as the Quran tells us, right? وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. That Allah taught Adam the names of everything.
وذكره آدم للملائكة كما علمه.
نعم. فلم يبقى شيء, so nothing was left except that Allah taught Adam its name بكل لغة, with every language. وذكره آدم للملائكة كما علمه. And Allah and Adam mentioned to the angels everything just like he was taught it.
وبذلك ظهر فضله.
And through that his virtue became apparent, meaning above the angels.
وتبين قدره.
And his qadr, his level, his decree became clear.
وثبتت نبوته.
And his prophethood became affirmed or confirmed.
وقامت حجة الله على الملائكة وحجته.
And his proof above the angels, because the angels, they said, why are you going to create a creation, right? So, and through this, Allah's proof became established above the angels. Okay.
Did you go to the next page?
Yeah.
So do I click? Yes.
Okay. So then he mentions a second interpretation. وَقِيلَ الْإِنسَانُ. It's like second half of the line. Up there.
وقيل الإنسان هنا رسول محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم دليله قوله تعالى وعلمك ما لم تكن تعلم.
Surah An-Nisa. Okay, so he says the first interpretation, what is the insan referring to here? The first thing he mentioned, it has been said that it's referring to Adam, because through the teaching of Adam, Allah proved to the angels Adam's superiority over the angels. Clear? The second interpretation, that the insan over here is referring directly to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? وَقِيلَ الْإِنسَانُ هُنَا. The human being here is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. دليله, his evidence, قوله تعالى, the statement of the Most High, وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمْ. And he taught you that which you did not know. Part of a verse in Surah An-Nisa. Clear? وَعَلَى هَذَا. So what is meant? Or وَعَلَى هَذَا, like if we take the second interpretation, فَالْمُرَادُ بِعَلَّمَكَ الْمُسْتَقْبَلُ. What is meant be here, like he will teach you in the future. Meaning he will teach the Prophet. What's the verse? عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. Like the Prophet ﷺ is being told that I will teach you in the future that which you're unaware of. فهمتم? وَقِيلَ. And then the last one, on the last line.
وقيل هو عام بقوله تعالى الله أخبركم الله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا.
And then the last opinion, and this seems to be once again يعني the more popular interpretation, هو عام, that it's general. It's general to everybody, right? Because of the statement of Allah, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. Right? That Allah took you out of the wombs of your mothers not knowing anything. Do you see the beauty in this? That عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. He talked about who is the insan here. And he gave three interpretations. Adam, the Prophet ﷺ, and everyone. And every single interpretation, its dalil was based through the Quran. Adam through Surah Al-Baqarah, right? The Prophet ﷺ in the verse in Surah An-Nisa, right? And the human being through the verse in Surah Al-Nahl, right? Every single interpretation went back to another verse, right? This is Tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, right? Now we can say, I can easily say, as I said, hey, look, the most popular interpretation, the common interpretation is the last, that it refers to everyone. But even the other two are Quranic in the sense that they're based on interpretation, right? Make sense? Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue next week بإذن الله. وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
One question.
نعم.
So you know the hadith that was mentioned about the angel writing when the fetus
Yeah.
like forming. So it went from like referring to it as a half to referring to it with a masculine, like feminine to masculine. How was that?
What?
Like first it was referring to
the fetus.
as a half, and then it switched to
رزقه.
It's risk.
أو رزقه أجله.
As in for the general.
رزقه أجله, right? Because usually that just becomes the default. like the default. Like the asl usually, if like it's unknown, then they'll default to the masculine singular, right? Just as a general thing.
Because perhaps they were using the ha is used specifically for the word, but then when you're talking about the gender, we don't know the gender yet, right? So that's why it switched to a general pronoun. Because if you keep saying ha, it would mean the gender is ha. You know what I'm saying?
We mentioned Rasulullah for insan, and we use the ayah, and he tell you that which you did not know. He will teach you in the future that which you are unaware of, like events in the future, or like he will teach you like later in your life.
So the second interpretation was that the insan is referring to the Prophet ﷺ, right? And if a person were to take this interpretation, then Prophet ﷺ is being told that you're going to be taught that which you were unaware of, right? So Allah says, for example, to the Prophet ﷺ, مَا كُنْتَ تَدْرِي مَا الْكِتَابُ وَلَا الْإِيمَانِ, that you were unaware of the book and you were unaware of faith, right? So meaning that you will be taught revelation in general, right? Because Allah specifically says, مَا كُنْتَ تَدْرِي مَا الْكِتَابُ وَلَا الْإِيمَانِ, you were unaware of the book and Iman.
Could you pass that over when you're done?
So it could be understood like that, and as like events that will happen on the Day of Judgment, for instance?
Huh?
Could that be understood that way, and like say events that will happen on the Day of Judgment, for instance?
Yeah, anything that deals under the realm of revelation and prophethood. Anything under the realm of revelation and prophethood. Anything. Everything and anything.
The last interpretation, like it correlates with خلق الإنسان من علق, and like the verse it uses to defend it, like يخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم.
No.
Like kind of like it correlates pretty well with the.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Only a few minutes.
If it matters, everyone was on time.
Hey, you're the best.
If it matters, I saw everyone on time. I don't see
You're the
it.
best, man. Thanks, man.
What I got?
Appreciate it.
Just can you name
Yeah, but you can't name it Al-Akram.
Oh yeah, she was there. She was there.
There was something happening in London.
Oh yeah.
Were you there then?
Yeah.
Which one's that? I was inclined to them.
Line وعلى هذا
Not.
الخالد وعلى هذا فالمراد به.
It's like a threat. And they deemed it very credible. So they
Oh,
had,
you
like,
took it into nice.
all locked down.
You took it into
OneNote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I could write all over it.
وعلى هذا so upon this فالمراد what is intended that he will teach you is that he will teach you.
I've one of my phone cameras.
Because right, this verse is the beginning of Revelation. Right?
It actually not that bad.
We're told that he taught the human being that which he did not know.
Yeah, that's
So we're talking about who is the human being. Correct?
Yes.
So if we say this human being is referring to the Prophet ﷺ, well, the Prophet ﷺ is just receiving revelation, right? But now he's about to go on a journey of 23 years where he's about to be taught new things. Right? You get what I'm saying? So he's saying, وَعَلَى هَذَا, meaning like upon this opinion, if we take the second opinion, فَالْمُرَادُ بِعَلَّمَكَ, right? So because he says عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ, said it's referring to Prophet ﷺ because Allah says in another verse, وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمْ, addressing Prophet ﷺ, he taught you that which you did not know. Right? So he says, وَعَلَّمَكَ over here means al-mustaqbal, like he will teach you in the future.
Okay. And this last
Like
one
meaning
is
you will come to know things that you were unaware of.
okay. By wahi.
Revelation, prophecy, everything. Right? Things that you were completely unaware of, you will now come to know.
And the last line, that's for like general human beings, right?
And then the third interpretation is huwa amun, that it is general. Because Allah says that Allah took you out from the wombs of your mother, not knowing anything.
Where's the first interpretation? Is it?
قِيلَ الْإِنسَانَ هُوَ آدَمُ.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And then the rest is an explanation of the first one.
Yeah.
I see.
So this is the second,
And
this is the first, and this entire thing is an explanation.
I see.
That's nice. You just kind of put the whole thing onto one note.
That's what I mean.
Nice. That's nice.
It's helpful.
That's
like,
very
Cause you pull from like different books. I just like take each book and I was like, oh, one of the ones that we bought in Seminary Year. We were gonna wear it and
Okay. It's better than normal. It's better than I don't think you think like 9:15.
Yeah. Like, did you skip? The thing is, I skipped out like years that were pretty easy. Like 5 to 7, it's not really that hard, you know. I skipped like high school or something.
No, we never got
That
on
was
this.
really yeah. And like 8th grade basically talks about the 16th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah. Like everything mostly reviews.
Yeah, when I heard it, I was actually saying this in the car, like, what, when I heard you guys say it. Yeah.
got here and then yeah, I thought you were like sick. No, right now I thought you were sick. And you were like sitting around bed. I thought you were sick. I thought you said that. No, I went to the doctor, you were there.
That's so smart.
That's so cool.
No, that's cool. I have one at home actually. They were passing out like for free on campus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. Man. They're giving away tape too.
Tape?
Tape, yeah.
Some regular tape?
Yeah. That's like Scotch tape. What else? And then they had
To the company or just on campus?
yeah, no, it was 3M. 3M. They like they make like the
Like office stuff, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So they're doing that stuff. And they also get out command strips. Command strips. Like
Oh,
they
the-
stick on the
the
wall.
tape.
Like command hooks. Command hooks.
Yeah. Those are dope. Those are like,
Yeah. I haven't found a use for it yet, but I
But
think
you
for
want
like,
one day.
they're for the dorms, I think.
Oh,
So I
makes
just think
sense.
like, oh, maybe I'll use them.
One day you'll need to stick something.
Yeah. Thanks to him. It's actually Phillips. Phillips or something. I think Phillips. They're giving like free beard trims.
Doesn't have the okay one?
Like facial hair trims, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's
Yeah.
like, don't touch me.
I'll let them know. But they're every day after class.
I'm not a huge fan.
Except for Monday.
That Monday.
Except for Mondays.
Huge project, do that Monday.
For hadith regarding aqidah, does Hassan work or does only Sahih?
Hassan works with what?
So there's like huge project 1.
No, just
Which I should probably
I
start with this
literally
one.
just yeah.
No, but I have a lot of things to do all this.
We're going like translation.
A lot of things.
The only thing in my head is like, what is this? Like,
Which one?
The translation about Allah.
Project 1s are
Yeah.
very.
Yeah, it's like, like, do we have to do
I mean,
that?
it's right if you're busy.
I was thinking about The heavens and the earth. Is that because
I see. Yeah.
the narration you said everything else was said he and it was.
Yeah. It's like that Adam was on the hand and Jannah, but like the other animals wanted the hand and the hand. That's interesting.
How you doing? Doing good?
Should we do this?
Alright, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فأيها الطلبة الكرام قد وصلنا إلى الحديث الخامس عشر. We have reached all the way to hadith number 15. اقرأ يا أحمد. بسم الله.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه.
رواه البخاري ومسلم. نعم. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه from أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال that the messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. That whoever believes in Allah and the last day should say something good or remain silent. Right? فليقل خيرا, they should say something good. أو ليصمت, or they should remain quiet. ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. And whoever believes in Allah and the last day should honor their neighbor or be generous to their neighbor. ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. And whoever believes in Allah and the last day, they should honor or be generous to their guest. رواه البخاري ومسلم, narrated by both Bukhari and Muslim. Alright, so the grammar and vocab first. Man. What type of word is man? Good. Ismul Mawsul. Right, in this context, Ismul Mawsul, it means الذي. Man بمعنى الذي كان. What type of فعل is كان? What do we call it? It's ماضي, but what is that category? كان وأخواتها. What type of أفعال are they? الأفعال ناقصة. Right, الأفعال الناقصة. Right, كان and its sisters. So كان and its sisters have a very specific grammatical function. What do they do?
They make the other
Good. So the ism of kana is marfu' and the khabar of kana will be mansub. What are some of the sisters of kana? Good. You should have all those memorized. Inshallah. Na'am. Alright, so من كان يؤمن. اللفظ يؤمن هل هذا فعل ماض أو مضارع أو أمر؟ مضارع. From which verb? آمن والمضارع يؤمن والأمر آمن والمصدر إيمان. Good. بالله. Why is the word Allah لفظ الجلالة مجرور? Because it comes after that? حرف الجر باء. واليوم الآخر, what type of construction? موصوف صفة. موصوف صفة. How do we know it's not إضافة? Because they both have alif lam in front. Right. فليقل. Right. The fa is just حرف العطف. Right. The lam in front is lam al-amr. Right. The lam in front is lam al-amr. What does lam al-amr do to the verb? Makes it majzoom. That's why the verb is majzoom. And the verb is actually يقول. But in the state of jazm, the harf al-illaf drops off. So it becomes fal يقل. Right. فليقل. The verb is قال يقول قل قول. Right, فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا. What state is the word خَيْرًا in and why? Right, mansoob, why? مفعول به أو ليصمت. The lam again is lam al-amr. يصمت is majzoom and it's the verb صمت يصمت والأمر أصمت. Right, صمت يصمت أصمت and the masdar صمت أو صمت both. نعم ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. What are the defaults for فليكرم? أكرم. أكرم والمضارع يكرم والأمر أكرم والمصدر إكرام. Right. أكرم يكرم أكرم إكرام, which means to honor or to be generous. جاره, what type of construction? إضافة. مضاف مضاف إليه. Why is it منصوب? مفعول به. Good. ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. Same thing. مضاف مضاف إليه and it's منصوب because it's the مفعول به. Alright, so this particular hadith is also
So for some, what was the sum of
صمت يصمت أصمت.
Ta or Tamabuta?
تاتا صمت يصمت والأمر منه أصمت.
أصمت. حمزة بالإضمام.
ضمة. ألف بالضمة. والمصدر سمت أو صمت.
Akrama is second.
Four. We're from four. أكرم إكرام.
Why does the amr start with the fatha?
Which one?
فعل amr. أكرم.
We're from four.
Oh.
أكرم يكرم أكرم إكرام. Right, any questions on the grammar? The vocab?
Sheikh, for Akrama, what are the root words?
Kaf ra mim.
And Swamata.
Mm-hmm.
And for Amina,
Hamza mim noon. Alright, this hadith should be memorized as well. Very easy to memorize, not too much to memorize it.
So it could be samtun or sumtun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just verb form 1, right?
Verb form 1. Straight up word form 1.
So now that I'm going to mix the mudari forms.
Majzoom.
Okay.
So if you put lam of amr in front of the mudari', it becomes majzoom.
That gives you the same meaning as amr.
Same meaning as amr. So basically the amr is for the second person, and use the lam of amr for the third and first. So like it's like he should. Give the meaning of he should or she should. Exactly. That's the one. Same word. Alright. Alright, so this particular hadith is also among the concise yet comprehensive sayings of the Prophet ﷺ. It's from his Jawami'ul Kalim. The words of the hadith might be few in number, but the meanings and wisdom behind them, they are extremely vast, they are extremely deep. And this is one of the ahadith that form the foundation of manners, etiquette, and behavior in Islam. So we've covered before that Imam Ahmad and Abu Dawood rahimahumullah, they mentioned that there are 4 ahadith that they consider to be the foundations of all good character in Islam. Right? They considered 4 ahadith to be the foundations of all good character within Islam, and this happens to be one of them. And these foundations of good character are a result and consequence of iman that lies in one's heart. They are expressions of true and sincere faith. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he's highlighting 3 qualities, right? 3 characteristics, 3 aspects of good manner that are considered to be expressions of one's iman. Right? And these expressions of iman, they are part of the branches of faith referred to by the Prophet ﷺ when he said, "Al-imanu bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah." Right? The Prophet ﷺ in another hadith, he told us that iman has 70 some odd branches. Right? Iman has 70 some odd branches. So when the hadith says 70 some odd branches, it's not meant to limit the number to 70. It's lil kathra. It's just to show that there are what? Several. Right? There are several different branches and several different expressions of iman. And a huge aspect of it happens to be good character. And without these branches, then faith is lacking. There would be something missing. So the first characteristic, right, the first characteristic that is highlighted by the Prophet ﷺ is the ability to control one's tongue. Right, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut." That whoever believes in Allah and the last day, they should say something good or remain silent. So this is a very, very significant statement. If a person truly, truly believes in Allah, if they have conviction, absolute certainty in the existence of Allah, if they have conviction, if they have absolute certainty in the reality of life after death, right, in judgment and accountability, then they are going to be extremely conscious of how they use their tongues. Right? They will be conscious of how their words affect them and those around them. So if a person really believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they really believe in the Day of Judgment, then they're going to be very careful, they're going to be very cautious about the words they choose to speak. And they will make the decision to say, يَقُلْ خَيْرًا, to speak good things, right, to say good. And if they have nothing good to say, they're going to be what? Quiet. Right? And part of the wisdom behind that is words can actually be very painful. Right? A person may say something to someone that they might think is harmless, but it breaks the other person's heart. And similarly, they may say something that they feel is insignificant and small, but it fills the other person's heart with joy and happiness. So the tongue, despite being a very small, piece of flesh, is very, very powerful. It has the power to drag a person into a pit of hell, and at the same time, it has the power to lead a person to paradise. Right? And this comes from another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he told us that verily a servant makes a statement, and he doesn't realize what harm it contains, and because of it, he is lowered into the fire, a distance which is greater than what is between the east and the west. Right? A person says something, and they don't even give it a second thought. They consider it to be so insignificant, so unimportant. But that statement was so heavy and so weighty that it dragged that person into the depths of hellfire. Right? Because of the negative consequences of that statement. Because of the harm it may have caused someone else.
So when it comes to statements like that, so in general, or like my understanding is when we commit actions and we don't know that they're wrong necessarily, we don't have like the same accountability as somebody who knows that they're deliberately doing something wrong. So similarly, sometimes when we say things like in passing and we don't realize that, and we don't mean to hurt people, is that?
Of course, the intention is there, right? Intention is a huge aspect of it. But I think that the more the objective of statements is like this is just be careful of what you say. Right? It's trying to build this consciousness, this mindfulness, this awareness that even the small insignificant things you say can cause harm to others. And although you might consider it to be insignificant, they are heavy on the scales. So just be careful. Right? Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is infinite in His justice and His mercy. He's not going to hold you accountable and punish you for something that you did not intend to do.
Because you also say that you don't have to be ignorant of a statement to not assume that it's insignificant. Like oh, that statement is insignificant. I'm not ignorant of like
the consequences of it.
The consequences.
I mean, you could say that. You could say that, but like, I mean, the essence behind a hadith like this is just to create the sense of what they call, it's to create a sense of khawf, right? To create a sense of fear so that people are more careful in how they address others and how they speak. And they're more I guess they're more conscious of how they use their tongue. All right. The Prophet ﷺ also said the opposite, that a servant makes a statement that is so pleasing to Allah, although they themselves don't give it much concern, that Allah raises him levels due to it, meaning levels in paradise. So again, the purpose of a hadith like that is just to encourage people to be very careful and conscious of how they speak. All right. And this is one of the reasons why it is so important to recognize the significance of the words a person speaks, and nowadays even the words we type. Because communication, mashallah, has evolved and changed so much that one of the primary ways people communicate with others is through emails and texts and social media. So the same exact principle applies. That just as a person should think before they speak, they should also think before they type. Right? The same principle, the same ruling applies. And something that helps with this concept of being more conscious and more careful of what we say is to always remember that whatever we say and whatever we type is being recorded. Right? Whatever we say, whatever we type is being recorded. Not just by the FBI and the NSA, but by Kiraman Katibin, right? By the two angels. Right? The two angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed to record our deeds, both the good and the bad. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran that ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد, that man does not utter any word except that with him is an observer prepared to record. Meaning whatever we say, being what? Recording. Alright, so this consciousness, this awareness that everything we say is being recorded and that on the day of resurrection we're going to be held accountable for it, this consciousness is a part of our iman. Right? This consciousness, it lies in our conviction and belief in Allah and in the last day.
This what?
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
Mm-hmm. So the khulasa, the summary, controlling one's tongue is a part of iman. All right. The second quality or the second characteristic is being good to one's neighbors. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. Right, whoever believes in Allah in the last day, they should be good, they should be respectful, they should be generous, they should honor their neighbor. So again, the meaning of that is that if a person is truly sincere in their iman, right, if their iman is actually rooted in their hearts, that it will translate into them treating their neighbors well. And this includes helping them, visiting them when they're sick, congratulating them on occasions of happiness, right? Condolences on occasions of sorrow and sadness, and not harming them in any way. Right? All of that is included in ikramul jar, right? Being kind, being respectful, helping them, visiting them when they're sick, sharing food with them, congratulating them, right? Offering condolences, and most importantly, not harming them in any way. And throughout the Quran and Sunnah, there is a lot of emphasis placed on treating our neighbors well. Right? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Jibreel alayhi salam kept advising me regarding the neighbor, to the point that I thought the neighbor would inherit. What does that mean? Right? They're like family. Your neighbors are supposed to be like family. Right. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ told Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu that when you cook stew, right, if you happen to cook stew, increase its water and share it with your neighbors. And that's why there's this whole branch within fiqh of حقوق الجار, that our neighbors have certain rights upon us. Right. The last characteristic or the last quality highlighted by the Prophet ﷺ is being generous to one's guest. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. Right. And how to honor one's guest, it can be different based on time, place, culture, and context. Right. Every culture and every family has different customs and different norms when it comes to what is considered honoring your guest. However, there are general guidelines that include welcoming them. Right? When your guest when a guest shows up to your house, they should feel welcome. They should feel comfortable. We should offer them food and drink, and we should serve them. And all of this should be done with one's own limits and convenience in mind, without any extravagance or waste. So basically, part of the Muslim identity, part of the Muslim culture, is to actually be very open and welcoming to your home. And to have people what? Come over and build those personal relationships. And when people come over, you offer them food, you offer them drink. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or extravagant. Whatever you have in your house, whatever you eat normally, give them something. If someone comes over, you don't have anything to give, just give them some water. Offer something. That is part of the culture of Islam and Muslims historically, and even till this day. Right? Most Muslim cultures are considered to be amongst the most hospitable.
So I have two questions. One about neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you were going to comment on non-Muslim neighbors and
same ruling.
Participating in their condolences
Yeah,
and
of course. They're
marriages.
human beings. You give them condolences. If they lose a loved one, you say, I'm sorry for your loss.
So, but what
May
about
God give you
their-
patience and
attending their
funerals.
festivals and
Festivals is different. You can congratulate them. You can say happy holidays to you, whatever. But don't participate in any religious practices.
Okay, also, about the guests. So, would people who come to your door, like the missionaries and the salespeople, would they be considered as your guests too?
Yeah, you can treat them as guests. If you do that, they'll have a positive impact on them.
So invite them in and offer them food and drink and things like that?
If you have time, don't inconvenience yourself. But yeah.
And are guests limited to those that enter your home? Or is there a concept of people being classified as guests outside
of your house? Any visitor would be classified as a guest. So if someone comes from out of town, perhaps not necessarily staying at your home, but they're considered to be guests.
Jeff, is this if you're the head of the household, you should be keen about making sure this is the case?
Mm-hmm.
What if you're not?
Still then.
Still?
If someone comes to your house, you still treat them with respect and honor.
I was thinking the neighbors
Yeah.
too.
Even the neighbors. Even if you're not the head of the house, you should still treat them with respect and make sure you're not harming them and
what if
bothering
you're
them.
not building any relationships with them, just
that is the consequence of our individualistic society.
Right.
Shouldn't do that. Muslims should not be like that. We should make an effort to know our neighbors.
Or what if they constantly reject your?
That's on them then. That's on them.
Can we see this as an inclusive neighbor, not just home, but say work?
Yeah.
Surrounding
So
businesses.
the Quran when it mentions neighbor, it says وَجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُوبِ وَصَاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ. It mentions all different categories. Your neighbor, your neighbor is the one who lives next to you. Your neighbor is the one who sits next to you. Your neighbor is the one who travels with you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
What's the limit to what we can say, for example, when we're giving condolences? So we can say, "May God give you patience."
Mm-hmm. So basically, the rule here is that you don't make supplication for the forgiveness of the deceased, right? If they're a non-Muslim, because that's between them and Allah. But you can make general condolences. You can say to God we belong and to God we return. May God give your family patience. May He give you strength. You know, I'm sorry for your loss.
But can we ever use the term like, may God bless you?
Yeah. Blessing is like a general term. There's nothing wrong with saying God bless you. Part of that blessing is, inshallah, they get blessed for Islam.
Would siblings or family members who are living in another state count as guests?
If they, when they come over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what's the limit? Like an hour away? Or
if they don't live at your house, if they have a separate household, when they come over, they're guests.
So like,
but they're like a higher category of guests because they're your family. So the level of formality would be very different.
Chef, is it true that it's from our tradition that a guest is for only 3 days and after that it's part of family?
Yeah, so they say that, not part of family, they say that you're only obligated to serve them for 1 day.
1 day.
Right? And 3 days is the limit. After 3 days that they've overstayed their welcome, unless you feel like you want to keep them.
So as somebody who want to be a guest at somebody's place, we should not stay longer than 3 days.
Every social interaction is not one-sided, right? It's always a dual relationship. So both parties should have consideration for each other. So the guest should have consideration that I don't want to be a burden upon this person, I don't want to be inconveniencing them, and the host should be like, I want to make sure that they're comfortable and taken care of. Both aspects are there, always.
Thank you.
Sometimes like close friends, like you're hospitable, but it's like a different kind of hospitality. It's more like you don't offer them everything. You just kind of like tell them my pantry's yours.
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
So that's the level of formality will differ, right? Depending upon the degree of the relationship. That's perfectly
still being generous.
You're still being generous. Like if you have like a really close friend and close family friend, just like come over, like, hey, help yourself, go for it. That's perfectly fine. Make sense? Nah. All right. Lessons and benefits. All right. One of the major lessons from this particular hadith is the concept of complete belief. All right. The concept of al-imanul kamil. So as we've covered before, iman, it plays a central role in every single aspect of our lives. Right? Iman is supposed to play a central role in every single aspect of our lives. It is the main catalyst behind everything we do in the life of this world. And it expresses itself through our speech, behavior, conduct, the way we carry ourselves, our morals, principles, and values. And an extremely important aspect of our iman is how we deal with others and how we interact with them. Right? That is an essential, integral part of our iman. So the way we interact with people, the way we behave with them, the way we treat them, the way we speak to them, all of that is reflective of our faith. So generally speaking, the higher and stronger our faith, the better our relationship should be. Right? So human beings are by nature social beings. Right? We require relationships, communication, love, attention, and care. And these relationships are healthy if they are built upon mutual love, compassion, respect, care, etiquettes, and manners. And that is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us through these words. Make sense? Alright. Controlling the tongue. Alright. The tongue is described as a double-edged sword. It can be the cause of great good, and at the same time it can be the cause of great harm. It can be a means for a person to earn unimaginable amounts of reward, and it can also be the means of earning sin and committing disobedience. And every single word a person says is recorded by the angelic scribes. And on the day of judgment, we will be held accountable for whatever we've said or done in the life of this world. And that is why it is so important to learn how to control our tongues. Right? The Prophet ﷺ told us, whoever can guarantee for me what is between their jaws and what is between their thighs, I will guarantee paradise for them. Right? So there are, usually they say there's different avenues and ways of committing disobedience. And the vast majority of disobedience of humanity is through the tongue and the private parts. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, whoever can guarantee, right, whoever can give me a guarantee that they will control their tongue and they will control basically their desires, then I will guarantee what for them? Jannah for them. Right? The Prophet ﷺ speaking to Mu'adh radiallahu anhu said, shall I not tell you of the foundation of all of that, meaning of all of Islam? And he said, yes, O Messenger of Allah. So he took hold of his tongue and said, restrain this. Right? The Prophet said the foundation of all of your submission and servitude and devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being able to control your tongue, because that shows self-discipline. So he said, Mu'adh radiallahu anhu said, O Messenger of Allah, are we going to be held accountable for what we say with our tongues? And the Prophet ﷺ responded with amazement. He said, may your mother be bereaved of you. Right? May your mother be bereaved of you, O Mu'adh. Is there anything that throws people into the hellfire upon their faces except the harvest of their tongues? Meaning, that is one major reason why people will be punished in the hereafter. Right? Because of the negative consequences and because of the sins they have accrued through their tongue. Make sense? Now, Anas radiallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person's faith is not sound until their heart is sound, and their heart is not sound until their tongue is sound. And similarly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person will not reach the reality of faith until they control their tongue. And that is why the tongue, it is described as the interpreter of the heart. Right? The tongue is described as the interpreter of the heart. Meaning, if our speech is good, if our speech is wholesome, if it's beautiful, if it's righteous, then that reflects what's inside of our hearts. And if our speech is foul, if it's obscene, if it's full of, curse words and swear words, and if it's full of backbiting and lying and acts of disobedience, then that's reflective of what's inside of our hearts. Make sense? The tongue is the interpreter of the heart. Right. Another major lesson from the hadith is be a good neighbor. Right. One of the ways in which Iman expresses itself is through how we interact with our neighbors. It requires a person to be kind, respectful, courteous, and helpful to their neighbors. We should not cause any harm or be a source of inconvenience for them as well. And this is perhaps the best way to change the negative attitudes of people towards Islam and Muslims, especially when we are a minority. And that is perhaps the most effective way of changing people's perceptions about Islam and Muslims, through our daily interactions with our neighbors and co-workers and classmates and whoever we interact with on a daily basis.
Is there another slide?
That's an old PowerPoint that I never updated.
Oh, sorry, there's usually that last slide.
Alright. The fourth is be a generous host. Right? Islam encourages generosity in all of its different shapes and forms. And one of them is to be a kind and generous host, which again is an expression of one's faith. So faith requires one to be accommodating, welcoming, and generous, as opposed to being cold and stingy. Right? A person should be pleasant with their guests, make them feel welcome, engage them in conversation, and serve them with food and drink. Don't make people feel awkward and uncomfortable, especially if they're in your home.
What if they're really pushing your buttons? Like, really?
That's where sabr comes in.
If they're really what?
Pushing your buttons. They say that sabr starts where your tolerance ends.
So if a family member, for example, like they smoke, can you still
Accommodate them?
Yeah.
You tell them go outside. You let them know that hey, if you're going to smoke, my house is a smoke-free zone. Please go smoke outside.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Be nice about it, right? You don't have to
But you can still have that over.
Yeah. let them know that just if you need to smoke, step outside. And most people do that. They're gonna like, at least nowadays, they don't light up in your house.
Yeah.
Unless
you're back home.
Unless you're in the Middle East or the third world, then it's like everything's free, fair game.
In the kitchen.
Not just the kitchen, everywhere. All right. Any other questions on this? Good. One more hadith inshallah. We'll do some clips. نعم الحديث السادس عشر. اقرأي يا امشي بسم الله.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصني قال لا تغضب فردد مرارا قال لا تغضب رواه البخاري.
Good. From Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu that a man said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Awsini, give me advice, give me some counsel." قال لا تغضب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Don't be angry, or don't get angry." فردد مرارا. He repeated his request several times. قال لا تغضب. And each time the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Don't be angry, or don't get angry." All right. So vocab and grammar. أن. What type of word is أن? عطف ونصب وتوكيد. What's the اسم أن here? رجلا. Right. أوصني. What type of construction is that? And what type of word is that? فعل الأمر. Right. And the noon and ya are extra. The noon is known as noon al-wiqaya, and the ya is for mutakallim. Right. Give me advice. Counsel me. Right, and the verb is awsa. The madi is? The madi. Awsa. Yusi. The amr? Awsi. And the masdar is isa'un. Verb form? 4. And the root letters? Waw, sad, and ya. Right, it means to give advice, to give counsel.
That would Isa'un be like synonymous with Nasiha?
Yeah. So, awsa, yusi, awsi, Isa'un. To give advice, to give counsel.
For Anna you said it was harf nasab or tawkid. What's tawkid?
Emphasis. Alright.
Is it? And not used in the middle, not in the beginning?
And
It is here, it's in the middle.
Oh, because of the
نعم. لا تغضب. What type of lam is that? Nahiya. Right, it's for nahi, it's for prohibition, and that's why the verb is majzoom. Right, and the verb is غضب بكسر الضاد. Right, غضب يغضب اغضب غضب. Right, غضب يغضب اغضب and غضب.
We're going back to Awsini. What is the noon at the end?
So the noon is called noon al-wiqaya. Right, it's to protect the structure of the word. And the ya is ya al-mutakallim. ضمير. غضب بكسر الضاء. يغضب اغضب. غضب.
What's the ya called?
ياء المتكلم. First person ya.
غضب.
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 This is verb form 1.
Verb form 1. غضب is verb form 1. فردد مرارا. ردد. What are my defaults? Good. The ماضي is ردد. The مضارع يردد. والأمر ردد. And the مصدر ترديد. To repeat. Verb form? 2. And the root letters? Ra, dal, and dal. Alright, فَرَدَّدَ مِرَارًا. He repeated it several times. Meaning he repeated his request several times. Alright, Awsini, Awsini. And each time the Prophet ﷺ just told him, La taghdab. Right, don't be angry or don't become angry.
So what would be the 3 root letters for
Raddada? Radda, same thing, same root letters.
Oh, okay.
Radda would be verb form 1,
okay.
And Raddada is verb form 2.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Alright. So this narration is also one of the narrations that's considered to be the foundations of manners, etiquette, and behavior in Islam. And it's also from the Jawami'ul Kalim, concise, comprehensive sayings of the Prophet ﷺ. The amount of evil and headaches this advice prevents and the amount of good it brings is unimaginable. Right? Oftentimes anger is the root cause of poor choices, regret, remorse, sorrow, and strained and broken relationships. Think about all the problems anger brings about in a person's personal and social life. Right? Between brothers and siblings, parents, children, husbands and wives. If a person were to truly act upon this advice of the Prophet ﷺ, it would lead to a wholesome, healthy, sound, and peaceful life. Alright, so in this narration, we are told that a man comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he asks for advice, saying, "Awsini," right? Advise me, counsel me. And this shows that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were constantly willing to learn from the Prophet ﷺ and seek advice and counsel from him in all of their affairs. This is very common. Right? It is very common that we'll come across narrations where an individual or a companion or a group of companions is asking the Prophet ﷺ for advice or for counsel or for guidance. Right? Another version mentions that the man asked the Prophet ﷺ to advise him with something that was light and easy so that he could safeguard it and act upon it. And the Prophet ﷺ responded to his request by advising him not to get angry. He said 2 simple words, La taghdab, right? Don't get angry. Meaning don't lose your temper, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't get upset with people and say or do something that will be a source of regret later on. And this is extremely succinct advice. However, the questioner did not realize how comprehensive and important this advice is, and that is one of the reasons why he kept asking the Prophet ﷺ to advise him. Right? Another narration mentions that later on the individual said, I thought about what the Prophet ﷺ said, and I came to the conclusion that anger gathers all the evils. Right? Anger gathers all of the evils because of the far-reaching negative consequences that it has. Right? In terms of when a person's angry, it clouds their judgment, and then they're going to say and do things that they will regret later on, and sometimes those things that you say and do can't be taken back. Alright, so anger, right? Anger itself is a natural human emotion. It is something intrinsic within us as human beings. Every single one of us experiences and feels anger in different times and different places. And the word for anger, as we've covered in the hadith, is ghadab. Right? It comes from the root letters ghain, ba, and ba. Right? And these root letters of gha, da, and ba, linguistically, they indicate towards severity and strength. Right? Linguistically speaking, the root letters ghain, dha, and ba, they convey the meaning of severity. They convey the meaning of strength. And then when it comes to anger as an emotion, as a quality, right, as a trait, the scholars have described it in several different ways. So for example, some describe anger as a flame of fire. Right? Some described anger as a flame of fire that overtakes a person's heart. And whoever it overcomes has inclined towards the hereditary disposition of the devil. For indeed he was created from fire. Right? Shaitan and the jinnat are created from what? From a smokeless flame, fire. So when a person is overcome with anger, which is this fire in their hearts, they have inclined towards the hereditary disposition of shaitan. And the Prophet ﷺ himself told us, truly anger is from shaitan, and shaitan was created from fire.
They have inherited?
They've inclined towards the hereditary nature of shaitan. Right? Other scholars, or it's an emotion that enters into one's heart and can be both positive and negative. Right? Anger as an emotion can sometimes have positive consequences. And there are certain instances where we are told to be angry and upset. And at the same time, it can have very negative consequences. So other scholars, they have described anger as a movement of the soul as a result of revenge, or an internal quality that results in a movement of the soul to seek revenge. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah, he writes that it is when the heart's blood boils out of a desire to seek revenge. Right? Another Imam described it as a swelling ocean. Right? It is a swelling mass of emotion that is difficult to hold back once it is unleashed. And it is not necessarily a negative emotion in and of itself. Without anger, there are many things that would not have been achieved. It can be a positive motivator. But at the same time, it can possess, consume, and ultimately destroy a person. Because in a state of anger, a person is unable to see clearly, and they don't think of consequences. So when a person becomes angry, they lose control of their ability to think. Right? They lose their ability to speak. They lose their ability to act rationally. And because of that, they will end up saying something or doing something that will be a source of regret and remorse later on. And there are so many instances of people who have completely ruined their lives because they were in a fit of anger. Right. How many people don't have healthy relationships because they're known to be short-tempered? Right. When you know people that are short-tempered, you're like, what? Keep my distance.
But then we also have stories of the Sahaba being defined as short-tempered. So how do we understand that?
Like who?
I don't remember exactly the name, but I remember reading about it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the wives of the Sahaba came and she said that my husband is short-tempered and he hits me or things like something like that. Because sometimes it's personality.
Anger is something that's a natural human emotion. Sometimes people will be short-tempered, sometimes they won't. But they're not defined by that quality necessarily. Mm-hmm. And even if they are, it's a human characteristic. The Sahaba were not perfect.
Yeah.
The Sahaba were human.
Because some people are just born very chill. I mean, they don't get angry at all, and some people just get really emotional about things. So. And
that's the reason for this hadith. La taghdab, meaning control your anger. If you're a person who's prone to be very short-tempered and upset and angry, part of your journey to Allah and part of your process of refinement is learning how to do what? Control that. Right? So anger is an emotion that needs to be trained, tamed, and kept in check. Right? It is an emotion that needs to be trained, tamed, and kept in check. It has to be controlled. Anger is something that needs to be controlled. It's an emotion that requires balance and moderation, a middle way. It is acceptable only at the right time, in the right place, for the right reasons, and with the right intensity. And that is why scholars mention that there are two types of anger. One is for the sake of Allah, and this is good anger, which can be channeled into positive actions. Like what?
Injustice.
Being upset and angry at acts of injustice or wrong, oppression, tyranny. Being upset and angry at acts of disobedience. Right? Being upset and angry at the situation of the Muslims throughout the world. Right? These are things that are natural. Right? If someone speaks ill of Islam, if someone speaks ill of the Prophet ﷺ, naturally you're going to feel upset and angry. And that upset and that nature of being angry is okay, it's perfectly fine, but it has to be channeled where? In the right direction. It doesn't mean you make a strike and burn buses and cars and destroy people's property. Alright. So one type of anger, again, is anger that is for the sake of Allah. This is considered to be good anger, and it should be channeled into positive action. Right? And the other is considered to be what we call bad anger or negative anger. And that is anger which is for the sake of one's ego. And it's attributed to the devil. And that's why they say the root cause of anger is oftentimes pride. Right? How dare this person say this to me, and how dare this person do this to me, and how dare they, etc., etc. Right? And that is why the Sharia encourages us to control our anger and control our temper. Right? The Prophet ﷺ told us, "Laysa shadidu bisur'ah." The strong person, right, the physically strong person, is not the one who can take you down to the ground. Is not the one who can overcome you physically. Right? وَلَكِنَّ الشَّدِيدُ الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. But a true person of strength is one who is able to control themselves when they're angry. Right? That is the true sign of strength. True strength is spiritual strength, the ability to control your temper, to control your anger. When someone upsets you, when someone pushes your buttons, when someone is really, annoying you, and being able to control your emotions at that moment is considered to be true strength. And that quality is actually described as forbearance. Right? That is the meaning of hilm. Forbearance or hilm. Being able to control your anger even though you have the ability to act upon it. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kadhama ghaydan wa huwa yaqdiru ala infadihi mala Allahu qalbahu amnan wa imanan." That whoever swallows their anger despite having the ability to act upon it, Allah will fill that person's heart with peace and faith. So that emotion of anger will be replaced with aman, with a feeling of serenity and contentment and peace. And iman will be a way of strengthening your iman as well. And the Prophet ﷺ did not only tell us to control our anger and control our temper and control our anger, but he also gave us practical ways of doing so as well. Alright, so the following is a list of some practical ways to control and eventually break one's anger. Alright, the first, which is not here, is remember the extensive praise, virtues, rewards, and blessings associated with patience, forbearance, and humility. That some of the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to nurture and develop within ourselves. And for having these qualities, there's a lot of reward, right? A lot of virtue, a lot of blessings associated with them, which are patience, forbearance, and humility. Right? There are unimaginable blessings associated with swallowing one's anger, and is considered to be an expression of one's taqwa. Right? In Surah Ali Imran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the people of taqwa, one of the descriptions given is وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. They are those who swallow their what? Anger. They swallow their pride, they swallow their anger. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. Alright, so a person's desire to earn this reward and blessing and virtue can protect them from losing their temper. Alright, the second is controlling one's anger by remaining silent. Alright, the Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you becomes angry, remain silent. Alright, if you become upset, if you become angry, if you find yourself about to become upset and become angry, simply do what? Be quiet. Don't say anything. Control your tongue at that moment. Right, the third is seek refuge and protection with Allah from shaitan. Right, it is narrated that two men began to argue and curse each other in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. And the face of one of them turned red, and the veins of his neck were swollen from rage. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I know of a word, if this person were to utter it, his rage would vanish, and that is A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So when you find yourself becoming angry and upset, be quiet and then say what? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Right? And the wisdom behind that is that anger is a satanic quality, it's a satanic trait. It comes from shaitan, and shaitan is created from fire. So when you're feeling that fire, that rage inside of you, say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Right? The fourth is change physical position or leave. Right? A person should sit if they're standing, and they should lay down if they're sitting. The Prophet ﷺ said, if one of you becomes angry while they're standing, they should sit. And if his anger doesn't subside, then he should lie down. Right? So again, this does not have to be taken literally. It means change your what? Position. Right? Change your context. Right? If I'm in the room and I'm becoming angry, I should do what? Step outside. Remove yourself from the situation. Perform wudu. The fifth is perform wudu. The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed anger is from shaitan, and shaitan has been created from fire. So if one of you becomes angry, make wudu. Not only does the water cool you off, but the spiritual effects of wudu also cool you off where? Spiritually, internally. Your sins are being forgiven, washed away. Alright. The sixth is be forgiving and overlook people's rude behavior. Right? Be a person of hilm. And there's a correlation between what a person does and what they receive from Allah in kind. Right? There's a direct relationship, there's a direct correlation between what we do and what we receive from Allah. A correspondence that the Almighty has placed in the workings of creation. So if a person doesn't want to incur the anger of Allah, then they should not be angry with people unjustly. If you don't want Allah to be upset with you, do not be unjustly upset with whom? With people. Right? And if you want to receive mercy from Allah, then be what? Merciful to others. If you want to receive forgiveness from Allah, be forgiving to others. Right? A man asked the Prophet ﷺ, what is the worst thing that one incurs concerning Allah? The Prophet ﷺ replied, his wrath. So the man asked, how do we avoid it? The Prophet ﷺ said, don't become angry. Don't be an angry person. Alright, so anger again is something that all of us experience. It's something that all of us go through. And when we become upset, when we become angry, we should follow this procedure, these guidelines. And inshallah, it will help us control and tame our anger. واضح? We can take like a 2-3 minute break, then we'll start back with fifth.
So, if you're angry and you want to just stay quiet, you need taking time for yourself. But what if the other person doesn't like that?
They don't like that? It's okay. It's for your own sake. So even if they're upset by that or they're insulted by that, it's okay. Then you can later on explain to them why.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
They can need some more
I don't know. And so he wanted to change it into my lane, but like I was going really detailed.
So when it comes to hadith that happened like a specific circumstance, yeah, I've heard before this hadith that like the person, the Sahabi, had anger issues and it relates only to them. How do we, how do we respond to that?
So it's not only related to them. You can say that was the context, but there's a principle in Islam or within like deriving rulings. العبرة لعموم اللفظ لا لخصوص السبب. That when interpreting something, you give consideration to the generality of the words, not the specificity of the cause.
So that's Quran and Sunnah.
Both. So although this might have been said to this individual because he had an anger problem, it applies to everyone.
Could you explain the concept of wara again?
Wara? Personal piety.
No,
Your personal standard of piety.
because the example you gave, like, righteous people would avoid that which is
Usually permissible.
to avoid a potential haram.
To avoid falling into something haram.
What would be an example of that?
Some people might be very, very super careful about what they eat. Right? So even though it might be like halal, they won't eat it unless they know for sure themselves it's hand slaughtered. Or they might not eat out because of that. They just be like, you know what, I'm only going to eat whatever I slaughter myself.
So is it only in the case of like unclarity?
No, even in clear-cut things, people can have wara.
That's what I do.
What would be an example of that? 'Cause, like,
An example they gave from the past is that, oftentimes the governors of Muslim polities were corrupt individuals and they owned properties and they would give something from those properties to people. Right? Like maybe they owned an orchard and they would give some apples to someone and that person would not eat them. Even though it's permissible for them to eat it because he didn't earn it, it was given to him as a gift. Out of what they said, perhaps he did it unjustly and earned that wealth unjustly, so I'm just going to avoid it. So basically, it's a personal standard of piety. It's a personal standard of, I guess piety is the best word. That's not generally applicable to everyone.
If you're, let's say
It's your own personal standard.
and there's like an area, right? And there's like a bunch of like lanes, right? And so
But if you're the
there's
leader of the
guy-
household, then you could kind of
Encourage everyone to have
there's
that.
guy with,
encourage
like,
that.
Standard.
with a lot of stuff on it. Are you safe? And like you're afraid that it's gonna stuff in the area. Are you safe down here? Like if it just falls out at that moment, will it go this way or will it go this way? Yes. It'll go outward, right? So like it'll go out to the outer lane. Yeah. Centripetal, right?
All right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So alhamdulillah, we started Babu Tayammum. Right, we started the chapter on At-Tayammum. We went through the linguistic meaning and the technical meaning of the word Tayammum itself. Then the first bahath, right, the first issue that we discussed is when is it permissible for one to make Tayammum. So we covered that there's two situations, there's two scenarios. One is the absence of water, meaning they do not have access to water. And the other is the inability to use water. Right? Then we did how to perform tayammum. And we covered that tayammum is 2 strikes. Right? You strike the earth once, dust your hand off and wipe your entire face. Then you dust your hands twice, and then you wipe your right hand up to and including the elbow, then the left hand up to and including the elbow. Right? And then he said that the process of tayammum is the same for if we're removing minor ritual impurity or major ritual impurity. The process is still the same. Right? Then the third discussion had to do with what substances we can use to perform tayammum. So the fatwa we said is كُلُّ مَا كَانَ مِنْ جِنْسِ الْأَرْضِ, everything that comes from the earth, as long as that thing is not does not melt when burned or turn to ash when burned. So basically it's excluding metals and plant life. And then we covered وَالنِّيَّةُ فَرْضٌ فِي التَّيَمُّمِ. Right? When performing tayammum, it is actually fard to have the intention that I am using this dirt to purify myself from minor or major ritual impurity. So when doing tayammum it's fard, but when performing wudu, we covered that the niyyah is sunnah. Alright. Now the next discussion that the author brings is nawaqidut tayammum. What are the things that nullify one's tayammum? Right? What are the things and factors and causes that nullify one's tayammum? Go ahead and read, yeah? Bismillah, Zoya. From وَيَنْقُضُ التَّيَمُّمَ.
What page is this on?
I don't know if you have the same copy as me.
Flat.
41.
Yeah.
41.
Did you say yan?
Wudu.
Is it different? Is that a different meaning if it says yun?
Same meaning. Same meaning.
وينقض التيمم كل شيء ينقض الوضوء وينقضه أيضا رؤية الماء إذا قدر على استعماله ولا يجوز التيمم إلا بصعيد طاهر.
Good. Alright. وينقض التيمم كل شيء ينقض الوضوء. Everything that nullifies wudu nullifies tayammum. Right? Every single thing that nullifies wudu nullifies tayammum. Alright, so quickly, what are the 7 things we study that nullify wudu? Right? Anything that exits from the 2 passageways? Blood, pus, serum, if it
travels,
if it flows. 3, vomit, a mouthful or more. Number 4, deep sleep. Number 5, going crazy. Number 6, losing consciousness. And 7, laughing out loud. Alright, so all those things, just like they nullify one's wudu, they also nullify your tayammum. Alright, yanqudu, the defaults are naqada. The madi is naqada. The mudari'u yanqudu. The amr unqud. And the masdar naqdun. Verb form?
What?
1. Root letters are noon, qaf, and dad.
It means what?
Here it means to nullify. Technically it just means to break. Naqdun is breaking. Like breaking a contract. Alright, in the ibara, in the text, the word at-tayammuma, why is it mansoob? Maf'ulun bihi. And why is the word kullu marfu'? It's the fa'il. Why is the word shay'in majroor? Mudaf ilayh. Good. So وَيَنْقُضُ التَّيَمُّمَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ يَنْقُضُ الْوُضُوء. Everything that nullifies wudu nullifies التيمم. واضح؟ وينقضه أيضا رؤية الماء إذا قدر على استعماله. Right. Seeing water if one has the ability to use it, also nullifies tayammum. إذا قدر على استعماله. So seeing water, if one has the ability to use it, also nullifies at-tayammum.
Meaning you're not purified anymore, you have to redo.
You have to make wudu. Right? I did tayammum, and then I'm traveling and I come across a nice large lake. Now my tayammum is broken, I have to do what? Wudu, if I want to pray. Or do anything else that requires purification.
So it's for both, both major and minor.
Of course, yeah. If you see water that you can use for purification, then your tayammum has been lifted. Because the purpose of tayammum is that it's a what?
Temporary.
It's a replacement, not temporary, it's a replacement. It's a substitute for wudu. So substitutes only work if the original isn't there. Right? If the origin is back, then you have to use the what?
So what my question is that, say you were in a major issue of impurity and you did tayammum and then you prayed, but now you see water, do you have to?
No, that's fine. No, that counted. That prayer counted because that was done.
Okay.
Now in the future, now that you have water, you have to use that water now. نعم. Alright. وينقضه أيضا رؤية الماء. Why is the word رؤية مرفوع? It's the فاعل of what? ينقضه. Right. Why is the word ما مجرور? مضاف إليه. قدر. What are my defaults? Good. قدر يقدر. والأمر اقدر. And the مصدر قدر قدرة, both work. Verb form? One. Root letters? Qaf, dal, and ra. Right. قدر means to have the ability. قدر يقدر اقدر. قدر قدرة. So again, what Imam Quduri basically he's saying here is that look, a person had made tayammum, right? And now they have, the reason why they made tayammum is because they didn't have access to what? Water. And now they have access to water. They see it, but they have the ability to use it as well. Right? Now that tayammum breaks and they have to make wudu. Right? Ability to use meaning they're not sick. Right? The water is not going to make them more sick or kill them, or there's no lions drinking from that water, etc. Make sense? Like they have the actual ability, physical ability to use that water. Alright, the word isti'mal, why is it majroor? Because of ala. Good. ولا يجوز التيمم إلا بصعيد طاهر. And tayammum is not permissible except with pure dirt. Right, tayammum is not permissible except with pure dirt. So here basically he's clarifying. He is clarifying that earlier he said you can use sa'id, but he didn't mention the word tahir. So now he's clarifying that the sa'id has to be what? Pure. Has to be pure dirt. Meaning the dirt cannot have any impurities on it.
So tahir means, right? Because it's a sifa of sa'idin.
بصعيد طاهر. The word tayammum is the fa'il. Alright, Bismillah. Shalam, go ahead read. ويستحب
يستحب لمن لم يجد الماء وهو يرجو أن يجده في آخر الوقت أن يؤخر الصلاة إلى آخر الوقت فإن وجد الماء توضأ وصلى وإلا تيمم.
Very good. Alright, so over here now Imam Quduri rahimahullah he is mentioning a particular mas'ala. And that mas'ala is that a person does not have access to water. Right? At this moment, I don't have access to water, but I am expecting that within the prayer time, I will do what?
Find water.
I will find water. So he's saying he should delay his prayer. He should delay his prayer until he finds water, makes wudu and prays. But if by near the end of the time he still doesn't find water, he should do what?
Yeah.
Do tayammum and pray. So he says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ, it is recommended. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ, it is recommended. لِمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدِ الْمَاءَ, for one who does not find water. وَهُوَ يَرْجُو أَنْ يَجِدَهُ فِي آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ, and he hopes or he expects to find it at the end of the time, meaning at the end of which time? The prayer time. أَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ الصَّلَاةِ, to delay prayer إِلَى آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ, until the end of the time. فَإِنْ وَجَدَ الْمَاءِ تَوَضَّأَ وَصَلَّى, so if he finds water, he will make wudu and pray. وَإِلَّا, and if he doesn't find water, تَيَمَّمَ, he will do tayammum and then do what? Pray. Then pray. Make sense?
Can you read it again?
Yes.
Slowly, please.
So all of you should be able to figure it out. Don't undersell yourselves. All of you know the grammar rules needed to figure this out. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدِ الْمَاءَ وَهُوَ يَرْجُو أَنْ يَجِدَهُ فِي آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ أَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ الصَّلَاةَ إِلَى آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ فَإِنْ وَجَدَ الْمَاءَ تَوَضَّأَ وَصَلَّى وَإِلَّا تَيَمَّمَ. يُسْتَحَبُّ is فعل مضارع, but it's majhul. It's in the passive voice. What would the defaults be? استحب, yes. تحب, the amr. استحب or استحبب, and the masdar istihbabun.
Why is it not istahib?
Because the ba, the shadda opens up. If I leave it, it will be istahibba. You still put a fatha on it.
What was the other one you said?
Istahibba for the amr.
If this one is more common.
Mm-hmm. What are my root letters?
No,
Ha, ba, and ba. Right, now this is one of those unique verbs that most commonly will be used majhul. Right, very rarely are you going to see it being used in the active voice. It is more commonly used in the passive voice. So usually any time you see the verb yustahab, it's going to be read majhul.
And it means what?
To be recommended. Istihbab, mustahab, al-amru al-mustahab. Something recommended. Alright.
So it's lam yajid. Yajid is mansub, right?
Majzoom, yeah.
And if it was man, that would be mansub.
Mansub. Alright, so وَيُسْتَحَبُّ, it is recommended. لِمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدِ الْمَاءِ, for the one who doesn't find water. Right? Which person? Basically the person who doesn't have access to water. But وَهُوَ يَرْجُو أَنْ يَجِدَهُ فِي آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ, but he expects to find it near the end of the prayer time. Right? Yarju, the defaults are raja. Right. Raja, yarju, The amr is urju. And the masdar raja'un. Verb form. One, and the root letters are ra, jeen, and wow. To hope. Raja means to hope. Also means to expect. Right. وَهُوَ يَرْجُو, and he expects أَنْ يَجِدَهُ, that he will find it, meaning he will find water فِي آخِرِ الْوَقْتِ, at the end of the time.
This is to hope again? Or to expect, to hope, to expect.
Right. أَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ الصَّلَاةَ, it is recommended for him to do what? To delay prayer. Right. The word يُؤَخِّرَ, why is it mansoob? Because of an. And what are the defaults? أخر أخر أمر أخر, and the masdar تأخير. Verb form? To. And the root letters?
Wait, two? Oh, because of the
أخر فعل. Means to delay. So أن يؤخر الصلاة. إلى آخر الوقت. فإن وجد الماء, if the person finds the water, توضأ, he will make wudu, وصلى, and pray. وإلا, if he doesn't find the water, تيمم, he will just do what? تيمم.
فإن وجد ماء.
No.
ماء.
Why?
Oh, because he doesn't find water.
So what is it? Why is it mansoob? مفعول به.
Is it is that like towards the end of the time?
Towards the end of the time. Not like the exact end of the time, but like near the end of the time. Everyone understands the mas'ala? Right? If a person is not expecting water and they're not expecting to find it, then they can just do what? Just pray at that time, no problem. Do tayammum and pray. But if you have some sort of hope, some sort of expectation that, you know what, I'm most likely going to find water before prayer time comes to an end, then you should delay. Make sense? Na'am. Wasil. Keep going, continue.
طلب الماء.
ويصلي بتيممه
ويصلي بتيممه ما شاء من الفرائض والنوافل.
Good. ويصلي بتيممه ما شاء من الفرائض والنوافل. Imam Quduri highlights this because there's a difference of opinion on this issue. But according to the Ahnaf, when you perform tayammum, with that one tayammum, you can pray whatever you want. You can pray all your fara'id, you can pray your sunan, you can pray your nawafil, whatever. Does not matter. Make sense? So if I made tayammum, and there's nothing here that's nullifying my tayammum, I can pray fard, I can pray sunnah, I can pray nafil, I can pray the following fard. As long as that, my tayammum does not what? Break.
Until you reach, okay, yeah, so one of the conditions is if you find water, you gotta make it.
So,
until you find it, he stays.
Well, you suddenly, or until you break it.
So what is the other situation where it's
Break? Just whatever breaks your wudu?
No, so you said that in Hanafi, we so fara'id and nawafil both.
So we're only studying the Hanafi madhab, so we're going to stick with that. You can pray whatever you want with your tayammum. Fara'id, nawafil does not matter. Alright, yusalli is the mudari'. What are my defaults? What's the madi? Good, salla. Salla, the mudari'u yusalli. والأمر صلي. And the مصدر تصلية. Verb form? Two.
And what is salat?
It's just the ism derived from the same root letters. ويصلي بتيممه ما شاء من الفرائض والنوافل. نعم. Keep going. The next part. ويجوز التيمم للصحيح المقيم. I think the sequence is changed a bit. So it says ويجوز التيمم للصحيح المقيم.
Second paragraph.
ويجوز التيمم للصحيح المقيم إذا حضرت جنازة
والولي غيره
فخاف إن اشتغل بالطهارة أن تفوته صلاة الجنازة فله أن يتيمم ويصلي كذلك من حضر العيد فخاف إن اشتغل بالطهارة أن
يفوته
العيد.
Alright, good. So over here now Imam Quduri is mentioning another mas'ala, another issue related to tayammum. And that is, this is a scenario, this is a context where a person is in the city, he has access to water, and he has the ability to use water. But he can still do tayammum in two circumstances. The first is that if he is about to miss Salatul Janazah. Right, if the Salatul Janazah is going on, and if he were to go and make wudu and come back, what would he miss? The Janazah prayer. So in that context, in that scenario, he can just do tayammum and join.
Does that mean that like the entirety of Janazah, or like he's gonna miss like the beginning?
The prayer.
Okay, so
Salatul Janazah.
Like before that, just.
If I go make wudu, I'm gonna miss it.
Okay, the whole thing. Okay.
Right,
yeah, it's really short.
Because Salatul Janazah is. Yeah. If I go make wudu, I'm gonna miss Salatul Janazah. I can just do tayammum really quick and do what? Join in.
I wish I had known that from Makkah, because in Kaaba it was just constant.
And the second is also for Salatul Eid. If a person comes late for Salatul Eid and they fear, right, reasonable fear, that hey, if I go make wudu, I'm gonna miss prayer, they can just do tayammum and join. Right? And the reasoning behind this is because these are two things that do not have a replacement. There's no makeup for Salatul Janazah. There's no makeup Salatul Eid. Does that make sense? So because of that, you can simply do tayammum and join. So that's what he's mentioning here. He says, وَيَجُوزُ التَّيَمُّمُ لِلصَّحِيحِ الْمُقِيمِ فِي الْمِصْرِ. Right? Tayammum is permissible for a healthy resident in the city.
Muqimi, what is the word after that?
Muqimi.
Muqim after that?
صحيح المقيم في المصري. It's redundant to say في المصري because muqim means you're in the city. Alright, ويجوز التيمم. Right, tayammum is permissible للصحيح for someone who's healthy, المقيم, and is a resident. Why is he saying that? Because usually those are the contexts where it's what?
You have to make wudu.
You should make wudu. Yeah. If you're healthy, you should be making wudu. If you're living in the city, that means you have access to water. Right? إذا حضرت جنازة. If Salatul Janazah comes. Right? If Salatul Janazah is present. وَالْوَلِيُّ غَيْرُهُ. And the wali, the guardian of the deceased, is someone other than him. Right? The reason why he puts this condition is because if you're the wali, then you're the one who leads the prayer. Right? You're the one who leads the prayer. So that means you can go make wudu and come back because you're the one who's what? Leading the prayer. Right? فَخَافَ. And the person feels إِنِ اشْتَغَلَ بِالطَّهَارَةِ أَن تَفُوتَهُ الصَّلَاةُ جَنَازَةً. Right? فَخَافَ. He fears if he busies himself with purification, that the funeral prayer, literal translation, will miss him. But the meaning is he will miss the what? Funeral prayer. Ishtaghala, to occupy, to busy yourself. If a person occupies, busies himself with purification, أن تفوته صلاة الجنازة, that the funeral prayer will miss him. We'll get there. فله أن يتيمم ويصلي. So for this person, it is permissible to perform tayammum and then and pray. Alright, yajuzu, let's do the defaults because we're coming across this verb over and over. We should know it really well. Jaza, yajuzu, wal amr, juz, wal masdar, jawaz. Verb form, one, and the root letters jim, waw, and zay. Hadarat. What are the defaults? Good. Hadara. Hadara. Yahduru. Wal amr. Uhdur. Masdar hudurun. Verb form. One. Ha, dad, and ra. Jaza means to be permissible.
To be permissible.
Hadara means to be present. واضح؟ Right. فخاف ولي خاف اشتغل. What are my defaults? اشتغل يشتغل والأمر اشتغل والمصدر اشتغال. Verb form? 8. And the root letters? Jin, Ghain, and Lam. Tafuta. Why is the word tafuta mansub? Because of an. And the defaults are fata. Fata, yeah? Futu. والأمر فت. والمصدر فوت. Verb form 1. Root letters are fa, waw, and ta. And this is also using this expression and using this verb with prayer is actually from what they call husnul dhan and etiquettes of the fuqaha, because they say that a believer would never intentionally miss a prayer, so the prayer misses them.
So what is the meaning of that again?
The literal translation is if the salatul janazah misses them.
So no, this word.
To miss.
To miss?
To lose. To be lost.
Okay, so today in today's like context with the tayammum, and especially these two scenarios, how do we like make it? Because I've heard like off the dust of the wall and stuff, but it's hard. You just imagine that there's like dust there.
I assume there's dust.
It's like right to the side of the masjid.
I'm sure there's some dust there. Some dust on the bookshelf. Outside. Usually salatul janazah is done outside.
So like concrete?
Yeah, you can use concrete.
But grass, no.
The soil in the grass.
Just like
yeah.
So who's the wali?
So the wali of a person is, it goes, they call it al-asabat. It's your male relatives. So starting with the father, the son, the paternal uncle, the brother. Alright, so all your male paternal relatives are considered to be your awliya, your guardians. So when it comes to Salatul Janazah, the guardian is most entitled to lead the Salatul Janazah. Either they lead it or they can allow anyone else to lead it on their behalf.
So they can invite a sheikh
To enter?
Exactly.
In the modern context, we have like two, like say we have like a 7:30 Eid and a 9:30.
So then don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like a hierarchy of who is first priority?
Yeah. Yeah.
So who is it? Is
For females, if they have children, it's the son, then the father, then the uncle, then the brother.
really son, the father,
Mhm.
then the uncle, then the brother.
Yeah.
And then what about for males?
For males, it's the father first. The father, then the uncle, then the brother. And
And for
with,
females, it's the son?
with father, it's like
Yeah.
father and above, meaning father, grandfather, great grandfather.
So it's first great grandfather.
No, first father, then grandfather, then great. Like your father's original. If the father's not there, then the grandfather's still alive, then the grandfather. If nobody exists above, then you move on to the son. If the son isn't there, then the uncle,
Oh, okay. So
your dad's brother.
Okay.
And if that's not there, then sibling.
Sorry, Sheikh, could you repeat that again? If it was a female who passed away?
All right, the female, son, father, uncle, brother.
Does the husband ever come into?
Wali?
Yeah.
Really?
When the
Because
wife
once you die.
when the wife passes away, the marriage is done.
Shit, I asked this question last time. I didn't get an answer.
Right.
So, does everyone remember that?
Yeah.
You're laughing. So, when a female dies, let's say you die, like in the presence of your spouse, does your spouse just have to like run out?
Not necessarily. No, you take in the context and situation of that. Alright. But in terms of like washing the body and stuff like that, there's ahkam that come into place.
So they can't be in proximity anymore?
You can be in proximity. You can still be in proximity.
You can
but
see
it's,
them too.
it's the rules of the hijab. They have to be in hijab then.
So you can see the dead body though, right?
Yeah.
Of your spouse.
Not the body, like the face you can
The
see.
face, of course, yeah.
And another question Iman asked last year, like if you have a picture of that person, like without
Oh
the
yeah, that
hijab,
was the question.
is that
Technically, the Hanafis will say that you should not be looking at the pictures.
Can you repeat the question?
if you have a picture of the person without the
Your
hijab?
ex-husband
Mm-hmm.
or ex-wife?
Ex-wife, yeah.
And you shouldn't be looking at it?
Of your deceased wife.
Wow. See, nobody talks about that.
So
Yeah, married.
Hmm. Makes sense? The mas'ala makes sense here?
Yes.
oh yeah.
Alright, وَكَذَلِكَ مَنْ حَضَرَ الْعِيدَ. Alright, similarly, a person who was present at Eid, فَخَافَ, and they fear, إِنْ اشْتَغَلَ بِالطَّهَارَةِ, if they busy themselves with purification, أَنْ يَفُوتَهُ الْعِيدُ, that they will miss the Eid prayer.
يفوته.
Because it's mansoob because of an. Right. وَإِنْ خَافَ مَنْ شَهِدَ الْجُمُعَةَ إِنْ اشْتَغَلَ بِالطَّهَارَةِ أَنْ تَفُوتَهُ الْجُمُعَةُ تَوَضَّأَ. But for Salatul Jumu'ah, the ruling is not the same because there's a what? There's a replacement. If you miss Salatul Jumu'ah, you pray Dhuhr, 4 rak'ahs. Make sense? So he says, وَإِنْ خَافَ, right? If the person who is attending Friday prayer fears that if they occupy and busy themselves with purification, that they will miss the Friday prayer, تَوَضَّأَ, they will still make what? Wudu. Right. فَإِنْ أَدْرَكَ الْجُمُعَةَ صَلَّاهَا. If he catches the Jumu'ah, even after making wudu, he will do what? He will pray it. وَإِلَّا, and if not, if he doesn't catch the Jumu'ah, صَلَّى الظُّهْرَ أَرْبَعًا. He will pray Dhuhr as 4 raka'at. وَكَذَلِكَ, and similarly, إِنْ ضَاقَ الْوَقْتِ, if the time becomes short, the prayer time becomes what? Short. فَخَشِيَ, and he fears, إِن تَوَضَّأَ فَاتَهُ الْوَقْتِ, if he makes wudu, the time will end. لَمْ يَتَيَمَّمْ, he still doesn't do what? Tayammum. وَلَكِنَّهُ يَتَوَضَّأُ وَيُصَلِّي فَائِتَتَهُ. Rather, he will make wudu and he will pray that missed prayer. Yani he does qada. فَائِتَتَهُ. Right, so basically, let's say it's almost Maghrib time. There's 1 minute left, and I have not prayed Asr yet, and I don't have wudu.
And Asr is one of those prayers that...
Let's just say, like hypothetical right now, right? I don't have wudu, 1 minute left till Maghrib, I have not prayed Asr. If I go make wudu, guess what? Bye-bye. Right? So he's saying in this scenario, you can't just do tayammum, pray quickly. You still got to do what? Wudu. So even if you miss the prayer, you'll make wudu, then you'll pray, and you pray your fa'ita, meaning you're praying a qada, you're praying a missed prayer. So the ruling is because there's a replacement. If you miss a prayer, you do what? Make it up. Make sense? Asr is one of those prayers that if you catch the first raka'ah, it counts.
Oh.
That's just
Fajr and Asr.
Fajr and Asr.
Fajr and Asr are the two prayers that if you were to catch one raka'ah, meaning you do the ruku' before the time ends, it still counts.
Oh. Not if... Oh. I thought if it enters on you...
I'm praying Fajr, right? And I've completed one raka'ah and the sun rises. I can still finish the Fajr and it counts. Asr time, I'm praying Asr and the sun set while I'm praying Asr. As long as I finish one raka'ah, it still counts.
But either way, you'd still be praying, you'd still like finish it throughout, right?
Yeah, you finish it. Yeah. It counts if you prayed it on time.
I see. And
so if you don't catch that one rak'ah, then you have to repeat it. And you have to wait for like...
Just
at least for like Fajr, you'd have to wait for...
the sun to rise.
Because I think in a sense we covered that for Jumu'ah, if you get you don't have to, as long as you get the taslim, you still get...
As long as you join before the salam, you get Jumu'ah.
But would that mean that you still have to pray 2 rak'ahs?
2 rak'ahs.
Okay, so it's still...
Meaning like you just stand up and make up?
Pray 2.
There was a situation where me and Mustafa, we were in DC, right? So we rented a car and we slept in the car until like Fajr. There was only a few minutes left. We were parked like in the back of a building, right? And so we had no access to water. So we only had a few minutes left and we decided to do tayammum and pray. Did that count? No.
Because water was there nearby.
Not really.
You're in the city, man. There's water everywhere.
Not really. Because like there was no access to like shops or anything like that, or restrooms.
But if you had waken up early enough, then you could have driven to somewhere.
But you would have. I mean, there was a gas station nearby. I mean, water is not 1 point whatever miles away from you. There's water available somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. The best is when you said that he prays.
So the question online is that they misunderstood that a person may make tayammum if they are the wali. No, if they aren't the wali. If the person is not the wali and they fear missing the janazah, then they can do tayammum. And if they are the imam and fear that they miss janazah, if they're the imam, they just go do wudu.
Same for Salatul Eid.
Salatul Eid, if you're the imam, you hold up the whole congregation. 10,000 people are making wudu.
This is fa'itatu, is that a line?
It's a maf'ul bihi. وَيُصَلِّي فَائِتَتَهُ.
I mean, like, what form is it?
It's a ism al-fa'il. From the verb fata. Fata yafutu.
If someone's about to miss the salah, can they like shorten their wudu and just do the fawa'id?
Yeah. Exactly. All right. I want to finish this chapter today. But there's only 2 minutes left in class, but we'll finish it.
We can go for 10.
وَالْمُسَافِرُ إِذَا نَسِيَ الْمَاءَ فِي رَحْلِهِ. Right, a traveler, if they forget water in their conveyance. Right, a person's traveling, right, again this was written, mashallah, 1,000 years ago. They're traveling on a camel. And they forgot that they had a water skin tied to the what? Camel. Completely forgot. Out of sight, out of mind. فَتَيَمَّمَ وَصَلَّى. So they thought they didn't have what? Water. So they did tayammum and prayed. ثم ذكر الماء في الوقت. And then after they finished praying, they remembered the water, but the time of the prayer is still what? In. لم يعد صلاته عند أبي حنيفة رحمه الله ومحمد. According to Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Muhammad, they do not have to repeat the prayer. طرفان. Right? They say you do not have to repeat the prayer. So Abu Hanifa and Imam Muhammad rahimahumullah, they're saying, look, if a person completely forgot that they had water, and they're built off their assumption that I don't have water available, so they do tayammum and pray. And then after they finish their prayer, they remember that, you know what, I did have what? I did have water. They said, lam yu'id salatahu. That person does not have to repeat their what? They don't have to repeat their salah. وقال أبو يوسف رحمه الله, but Imam Abu Yusuf, he says, يعيدوا. They will do what?
Repeat.
They will repeat. And the fatwa is on the qawl of the tarafain. You do not have to repeat. Make sense?
Is it إذا نسي الماء في
رحله وليس على المتيمم إذا لم يغلب على ظنه أن بقربه ماء أن يطلب الماء وإن غلب على ظنه أن هناك ماء لم يجوز له أن يتيمم حتى يطلبه. Right? It is not mandatory upon the one making tayammum. إذا لم يغلب على ظنه, if he is not sure. If he is not what? Sure. أن بقربه ماء, that there is water close to him, أن يطلب الماء, to seek out that water. So what Imam Quduri is saying, that look, I'm a traveler, right? And it's time for me to pray and I don't have wudu and there's no water. And I'm also fairly sure that there's no water nearby. I'm also fairly sure, you know what, I'm pretty confident that there's no what? Water nearby. Then I don't have to go and do what? Look for water. I can just do my tayammum and pray. But وَإِنْ غَلَبَ عَلَى ظَنِّهِ, if he has غَلَبَةُ الظَّنِّ. غَلَبَةُ الظَّنِّ means you're near sure, near certainty. You're fairly sure that there is water what? Close by. لَمْ يَجُزْ لَهُ أَنْ يَتَيَمَّمْ. It will not be permissible for that person to make tayammum حَتَّى يَطْلُبَهُ, until he does what? Looks for it. Make sense? وَإِنْ كَانَ مَعَ رَفِيقِهِ مَاءٌ. If his companion has water. He doesn't have water, but his companion has what?
Water.
طَلَبَهُ مِنْهُ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَتَيَمَّمْ. He should ask for it before he does what? Tayammum. فَإِنْ مَنَعَهُ مِنْ. But if his companion prevents him from that water and says, no, you can't have this water and use it, تَيَمَّمَ وَصَلَّى. He'll do what? Tayammum and pray.
So up where it says fil waqt, is that implying that if the time had passed?
Oh, in the same time period.
Yeah, but is that implying that if the time had passed, he wouldn't have to?
So that's بطريق الأولى. Even if the time passed, he would not have to repeat. Okay. If he doesn't have to repeat it in the time, then after the time is even. Makes sense? Alright, go back to the beginning of this section. وَالْمُسَافِرُ إِذَا نَسِيَ. What are the defaults for nasiya? Good. The madi is nasiya. The mudari'u yansa. The amr insa. And the masdar nisyanun. Verb form? One. Root letters noon, sin, and ya. Rahlihi. Rahlihi. Rahl means your ride, your conveyance. In this context, they're camel, donkey, horse. In our context, a car. Right? If I'm traveling, let's say I'm in the middle of the desert, right, somewhere in the middle of Arizona in the desert, and There's no gas stations for the next 15 miles, right? It says next rest stop 15 miles. And I have a jug of water in my trunk, but I completely forgot. And I did tayammum when I prayed. And then after I finished praying, like, oh man, I had water? No problem. My prayer is still what? Good to go. Alright, same scenario now that I'm in the middle of the desert, right? Driving down, I don't know, some freeway. The next rest stop is 20 miles away. I have nothing with me. If I am pretty sure that there's no water close by, I can just do tayammum and what? Pray right away. But if I have I'm fairly sure, I'm fairly certain that, you know what, there's probably water close by, then I have to go look for it first before doing tayammum.
In that scenario, given that there's generally enough safety, it's like you got to stop on the freeway.
Alright. Lam yu'id is majzoom. The defaults are أعاد. The مضارع يعيد. The أمر أعد. And the مصدر إعادة. Verb form? Or, and the root letters? Ain, it's actually waw and dal. Means to repeat. Na'am. واضح. So all of these verbs and all of these words from Quduri so far, if you learn this vocab, you'll be able to read any book of fiqh. That's why it's important to learn the vocab. Learn the vocab, know how to translate it, inshallah. We are done with tayammum.
Sheikh, is it حتى يطلبوه يتيمم
حتى يطلبه. It's mansub. Because of حتى, after حتى there's an an. That's understood.
And it means to look for.
Look for it.
So then afterwards says طلبه من قبل أن يتيمم. طلب is to ask.
To ask. So طلب is literally like to seek, request.
In the case with tayammum, if someone relieves themselves, how do like they make sure everything is dry and then they try to remove filth as much as possible, and then they just
exactly.
And also like
غلب يغلب is غلب يغلب. What does it mean?
To overcome.
Exactly, because instead of losing the battle, you sound like might as well choose the battle between.
Still water in your cat.
So maybe your meeting is included.
Do you want to see it?
I don't know. You can see the fun.
Just go to trial.